Live from Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas, CSN Houston brings you Houston Astros baseball. Today it's the finale of this four-game weekend series. The Astros taking on the Baltimore Orioles. Good afternoon, everybody. Bill Brown and Alan Ashby along with Julia Morales to talk about Game 4 of this set. The Astros have won 2 of the first 3, but Baltimore snapped their 7-game winning streak yesterday, Ash.
Dallas Keuchel just didn't have it go his way yesterday. Had that one little glitch inning where the command was gone. It all added up, along with maybe a missed opportunity to review one early first inning. It just added up to finally breaking that string for the club.
Nonetheless, the Astros have won 13 of their last 20 in that period of time. The numbers are rather glittering over this 20-game stretch for the Astros.
Fantastic numbers. Since May 11th, you look at the batting average for the club, 266. Well, that's a whole lot better than they used to be. The on-base percentage with Altuve and Fowler and the boys getting on base via the walk, including Springer, 18 of them. Matt Dominguez swinging the long ball bat at times. So the offense really coming a long way. On the pitching side, the starters have been fantastic. That 3.13 ERA is third best in that span, and they have just provided the bullpen a chance to kind of regroup. And with that bullpen, it's been one guy after another going out and shutting teams down. Best ERA group, Tony Sipp retiring 20 consecutive hitters at one stage. The bullpen, again, #1 ERA in that span since May 11th. So the guys have added up. When you add the bullpen and the starters together, the best overall ERA among any club in all of the major leagues right now. So you've got very good pitching and the hitting coming along quite well, and at times stellar with Springer and the boys leading things. It's added to that 13-7 mark.
Been a very good stretch. Scott Feldman will be taking the rubber today, the opening day starter for the Astros against his former club, Baltimore, countering with Wei-Yin Chen. Feldman back on track last time.
Scott Feldman is a guy that was great to start the year, then had a little injury problem to deal with, his comeback kind of on and off. But Scott Feldman is a guy you generally can count on. He gives you a quality start each time he runs out to the hill. In April, the numbers were fantastic, as you see the 169 ERA in May. Not quite the same numbers, and you hope that Scott Feldman is feeling good the way he did at the start of the season.
Coming up, short work. Jonathan VR had a monster hit Friday night that kept the Astros winning and might have helped remedy the shortstop's growing frustration. Julia Morales has more on the battle raging within Jonathan VR when we return.
Comcast Sportsnet's presentation of Houston Astros baseball is presented by Jack in the Box. Head to Jack in the Box and try the new Jack's Blazin' Chicken Sandwich. It's Jack's hottest sandwich yet.
You set here for the final game between the Astros and the Orioles. The Astros trying to win this series over the O's and get back to their winning ways. Bo Porter has his lineup set for the left-hander Wei-Yin Chen today. Jonathan VR at shortstop, back in the lineup after a day off, and it was a tough day off for him because he was able to snap an over 26 hitless streak just 2 days ago. He's been struggling as of late. You see the numbers dropping off considerably after his first 30 games of 258, batting just 111, but came up with a big hit 2 nights ago. He had Robbie Grossman, here it is, on second. VR bouncing one into the Astros bullpen. It was a ground rule double that scored the go-ahead run. The team needed him, and he needed that. But one thing we have seen with VR is that his struggles at the plate have not carried over defensively. We saw that sometimes last year, some mental mistakes from the young rookie last season. Not the case this time around. You can see VR has been an important part of why the Astros pitching has been so good. He slowed things down this year, making things look easy, really impressing his coaching staff. And I'll tell you, Scott Feldman would love to see everything clicking for VR today. Coming up, this Houston Astros club streaking through May. Now we turn the calendar to a new month. Will the Astros start a new streak in June? We'll have lineups and first pitch coming up next.
It is dead even 3-3, and it's a good barometer for the Astros with their improvement that they've been able to split the 6 games with this club, which was stamped as a contending club before the season started and has played .500 baseball. Meanwhile, the Astros get ready to try to win the season series, and their numbers against Baltimore offensively are almost identical to the Orioles' numbers against them. So a dead even season series. Final meeting today. Cal Ripken, the Hall of Famer, who set that wonderful consecutive game playing streak, is here throwing out the first pitch. He will be joining us on the air in the 3rd inning today. Nice to have Cal Ripken, the longtime Oriole, in town. And Dallas Keuchel did the honors, catching that first pitch, and Orbit called it strike 1 of the day. He was the ultimate grinder, Ash. Here's the starting lineup now. DH Nick Markakis leads it off. Manny Machado plays third base, batting second. It's Nelson Cruz in right field. Adam Jones is the center fielder. Chris Davis plays first base, batting fifth. He's followed by shortstop J.J. Hardy, second baseman Jonathan Scope, left fielder David Lowe, and catcher Nick Hundley. The pitcher is lefty Wei-Yin Chen.
Scott Feldman goes to the mound for the Astros this afternoon. 31-year-old right-hander, 3-2 with a 3.02 ERA. Won his last start, that at Kansas City, working 6 innings, allowing just a couple of runs in that game, and he's got plenty of history against these Baltimore Orioles. 7 starts, 13 games overall, and he's 4-1, so a lot of success to rely on against the O's over the years.
Take a look at last year versus this year, the first 57 games, and you can see definite improvement in the win column and ERA column, actually.
Don't have the exact numbers in front of me as we look at these, and I'll dash to these others that I'm referring to. But yeah, the batting average is down a little bit. The on-base percentage is up, so there's some growth there. The ERA much better, and that's a key indicator. And then when you get your starting staff pitching as well as they are this year, 4th best in the American League now, that starting staff, you're moving clearly in the right direction. But those numbers, the 1 loss, a little bit better than they were in the World Series year 2005.
Jose Altuve and his teammates ready to go. What a great month of May for Altuve and George Springer and Dallas Keuchel. But now a brand new month begins. Dexter Fowler in center, and Scott Feldman, the former Oriole, on the mound, set to face Markakis. Markakis, currently on a 6-game hitting streak, has gone 9 for 25 with 3 walks over that stretch. And he has 21 multi-hit games. That's tied for 5th in the American League. Takes the first pitch, and there's strike 1. Chris Siegel, the home plate umpire, ringing it up. Markakis for the season has a .300 batting average. That includes 3 homers, 18 runs batted in, and .353 on base average for Markakis. That's chopped to the left side past the diving Dominguez. Here's Jonathan Villar with a wild throw. And that pulls Jesus Guzman off first base. He tried to make a spectacular play, and the throw sailed on him. So Markakis reaches on a single, giving him a 7-game hitting streak.
Jonathan Villar has shown that he can make plays similar to this year, and therefore you just can't fault a thing here. That's a great effort. Throw just gets away a bit on the home plate side. That got all runner Markakis, I believe, on the helmet.
Yeah, he's getting some attention right now. Buck Showalter out along with one of the athletic trainers from the Orioles looking at Nick Markakis. Looked like that got him on the helmet, didn't it?
I believe so, and no doubt they're checking to see if everything appears to be functioning correctly. But yeah, that's on the non-flap side of the helmet.
Yeah.
So right above the ear. He's fortunate this catches helmet, if you can be fortunate when you get hit in the head.
Sure. Otherwise it gets him on the left ear if it's a little lower, and that could be really a lot worse.
Yeah, I think Markakis basically is trying to say he's glued together at the moment.
Well, now he's hit in all 4 games of this series and ready to go as a base runner with Villar. Back to shortstop for Manny Machado now. The Orioles, while the Astros have won 13 of 20, have dropped 13 of their last 20, and they're 4.5 games out in 3rd place in the AL East as they begin the day. Machado, the 3rd baseman, comes up in the number 2 spot. He was 2 for 4 yesterday. He's been batting 7th in the lineup the first 3 games of this series. .220 for this season with 2 homers. He's driven in 5. Feldman throws, and it's strike 1. On that previous pitch with Markakis getting the hit, he didn't hit it hard at all, but Carlos Corcoran had set up a very low target, and Feldman missed that target. However, Markakis was able to use an inside-out swing to get a good result on a slowly hit grounder. The Orioles have not been tattooing the baseball in this series. No balls and 2 strikes now.
Well, I think it's fair to say that part of that has to rest upon some very strong shoulders on the pitching staff. They have been very good, not only in this series, but for a lengthy time, as we've been pointing out.
That's exactly right. Villar and Altuve a double play depth.
Manny Machado, one of those kids who came up to the major leagues at the age of 20.
Goes foul with that one. It's still 0-2. Yeah, one of the bright young stars in the American League. Just a terrific fielder at 3rd base. Very athletic.
More than held his own with the bat, too. Just one of those special players that comes along. 51 doubles last year.
He won that award they call the Platinum Glove. Best overall fielder in the league. It's kind of a new one. He's hit by the pitch. Now runners at first and second. On 0-2, Feldman came too far inside and clipped him with that offering. So immediate trouble for Scott Feldman.
Yeah, that's that effort to find the inside corner, and when it gets away even a little bit, it runs right at the hitter.
And now right into a thick soup with Nelson Cruz coming up. And Cruz, who leads the American League in slugging percentage, leads the majors in homers, and runs batted in, has 2 ducks on the pond with nobody out. 20 bombs, 52 runs batted in, and the 1057 OPS is tops in the majors as well. 12-game hitting streak for Cruz. Quality pitch, and it's strike one.
Hear players talk about game plans all the time. This would not have been part of the game plan for Scott Feldman, not by any stretch.
Yesterday, Cruz had a sac fly, a double, a bases loaded walk, and a homer. And a turn back towards second on Markakis. The Orioles are dead last in stolen bases in the American League with 15. Now Corcoran out to the mound to talk with Scott Feldman. Last time out, Scott beat Kansas City at Kansas City 9-2 on Monday, working 6 innings and allowing 8 hits, 2 runs. He had just 1 walk, didn't strike out anybody. Through 96 pitches, 66 of those were strikes. Coming back from the 10-9, he had a couple of subpar starts prior to that. And misses there with a 1-ball, 1-strike count. So has not had that just tremendous command he had from the opening game of the season down until he went on the disabled list. Bouncer shortstop VR tossing to Altuve. Altuve low throw, and Guzman saves him a throwing error by digging it out. Double play, runner at third and 2 outs now, and Guzman really made the play at first.
And gets the Astros that second out in the process. That really is a fine play. Routine double play, and this should be made without a glitch. But there was potentially a big glitch involved.
Excellent glove work by Guzman. And that's the 50th double play of the year for the Astros, bringing up Adam Jones with a runner at third and 2 down. 283, 6 homers, 29 runs batted in for Adam Jones. Powerful center fielder, a great outfielder. He was 0 for 4 in yesterday's game. Jones was an all-star last year, 3-time Gold Glover who belted 33 homers a year ago, driving in 108. He's 2 for 12 in this series, showing bunt.
Wow. Where does that miss? There's a case of a guy showing bunt, and when he pulls the bat back, does the umpire buy into him maybe not bunting after it, so therefore it's a ball? That was a good looking breaking ball.
2 for 18 against Feldman. And a little cutting action on that one makes it a 1-ball, 1-strike count.
It was very nice with that cutter working off the outside edge. Jared Cozart like.
Tap to third base for Domingo. And on to first. So first and second, Cruz batting, nobody out, and it's a 0 with 1 hit and a man left. Astros coming up. Inning. The Astros lineup card today is presented by Jack in the Box. We take a look at Bo Porter's starting 9, including, of course, the 10th man, the pitcher Scott Feldman, who has put up a 0. It's Jose Altuve at second base, George Springer in right field, Dexter Fowler center field, Matt Dominguez third base, Chris Carter DH, Jesus Guzman first base, Robbie Grossman left field, Carlos Corporan catcher, Jonathan Villar shortstop.
28-year-old left-hander Wei-In Chen out of Taiwan, 5-2 on the year with a 4.50 ERA. Basically a 4 ERA guy through his 3 years now in the big leagues. Has worked twice against the Astros on his career, each time working at least 7 innings and allowing just a grand total of 5 earned runs in that span. So he's pitched well against Houston hitters.
Pitched in Japan before signing a 3-year deal with Baltimore prior to the 2012 season. He had Tommy John surgery back in 2006 after signing at age 22 with the Chunichi team in Japan. And he beat the Astros in Baltimore earlier this year, May 9th, 4-3, giving up 2 runs in 7 innings. Jose Altuve is the first man to face him. And as you mentioned, he has another win as well. That was last year. He beat the Astros 4-3 in that one with 7 1/3 innings. So as you indicated, he's gone deep into both of his starts against Houston. Jose Altuve at .318 in the top 10 in batting average. No balls, 2 strikes. He had a wonderful month of May with 45 hits, tied for the top figure in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, it's hard to picture an infielder, for example, second baseman, let alone having a better offensive month than we've been watching from Altuve.
He takes that one in the dirt. It's a 1-ball, 2-strike count. And Altuve has raked against left-handed pitching. .426, third best in the American League against southpaws. Chen, 28 years old. He was 7-7 last year in 23 starts for Baltimore. Spent some time on the DL. Ground ball hit to center field, so the month of June will not find him slowing down. That's his 78th hit for the American League leader.
Got a pitch up and drilled it into a defense that includes left to right in the outfield David Lowe, Adam Jones, and Nelson Cruz. On the left side of the infield, Manny Machado and J.J. Hardy with that .995 fielding percentage. On the right side, Jonathan Scope and Chris Davis. And behind the plate, it's Nick Hundley.
Now George Springer, we voted for our award winners for the month of May in the American League. We voted for George Springer as Rookie of the Month. And why not? 255, 10 homers, 29 runs batted in for the season for George. He looks at ball 1. During May, he led all Major League rookies in homers, runs batted in, and OPS. His OPS in May was 1,032.
Didn't pitch as well as Tanaka in New York, but yeah, that's another story.
Friday night, he hit the big go-ahead 2-run homer in the 7th in the Astros win here. Skies that one back out of play, and it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count on George Springer.
Got a pitch to hit and simply fouled it off with a great swing.
That was a Thursday night that Springer hit the home run, and that took his hitting streak to 11 games. But then he was 0 for 4 Friday night and 0 for 4 yesterday. Big cut by George. It's a 1-ball, 2-strike count now.
You know, as big as that swing is, that's much more under control than we saw the first couple of weeks when he came to the club. And that's plenty of swing to provide him the power to go anywhere he wants to go.
There's the stolen base leader in the American League, Jose Altuve, with 20. D. Gordon with 34 already.
Wow. Is that something?
Crazy. Foul back. George had 7 homers over a 7-day span. He became just the second rookie in Major League history to do that. Rudy York the first with Detroit in 1937.
You know, when you talk about what Altuve is doing with the stolen base, he's in front of some pretty good names. Rajai Davis, Jacoby Ellsbury, Brett Gardner, Elvis Andrus. So it's not like the big boys are hurting right now.
Inside to Springer. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Jimmy Wynn set the Astros franchise record for homers in the month of May with 11. And George missed that by just 1. The last Astro player to hit 10 in May was Richard Hidalgo in 2000. Springer strikes out number 1 for Chen. And now it's Dexter Fowler. It was 12 and 11 his first year in the big leagues with the Orioles. In 2012, he had a 4.02 ERA that year, worked 192 innings. Fowler, 255, 3 homers. He's driven in 16. He's 4th in walks in the American League with 34. And that lifts his on-base percentage to .371. Fowler's 1 for 10 in this series. He had a .420 on-base average in the month of May. That's strike 1 to Dexter.
He's hanging out with some big boys in terms of drawing walks. Jose Bautista, Carlos Santana, Adam Dunn are the only 3 in front of him. Josh Donaldson right behind. And it's hard to figure, at least for me, with limited power, how you draw this many walks. But kudos to Dexter Fowler.
Has a .404 on base average, batting right-handed. Strike there. His batting average quite a bit higher, .306 as a right-handed batter so far. But now he's fallen behind here on Chen. Chen has walked only 10 in 58 innings while striking out 41 now. That's high for a ball. That makes it a 1-ball, 2-strike count.
Chen with that nice little semi-slide step, making the running game virtually impossible for Altuve.
Astros took the opener of this series Thursday night, 3-1. They followed that up with a 2-1 Friday night win, losing to Baltimore yesterday, 4-1. That misses by a pretty good margin. It's 2 balls, 2 strikes. So for the season series, get this, Ash, the Orioles have a 3.06 ERA against the Astros in 6 games. The Astros can go better than that. 2.87 is their ERA against Baltimore.
You know, for those who like pitching and defense type series, everything between Astros and Orioles this year, that type of baseball.
Fowler's down on strikes, so Chen gets number 2 in a row, and now it's Matt Dominguez coming up.
Chen with that little cutter diving down and in, and you see it so often. Lefty versus righty, righty versus lefty. That slider, the back foot slider, is what it's referred to, and a very effective strikeout weapon.
Dominguez has put together a 5-game hitting streak. He's 3 for 9 in this series. 250 for the season, 7 homers, 22 driven in. Way outside, ball 1 to Matt. The Astros made a roster move today. You've probably heard by now. They've recalled right-hander Paul Clemens from Oklahoma City and optioned lefty starter Brett Oberholzer to Oklahoma City. They want Oberholzer starting every 5th day, so that's the reason for the move, even though he had done so well, 2-0 in his last 2 starts with a 2.08 ERA. That means Brad Peacock stays in the Houston rotation. That one ricocheted off the catcher Nick Hundley. So a tough blow for Oberholzer to get that news from Bo Porter today. Jeff Luhnow and Bo Porter had talked about it, and they had said that the Astros would be dropping back from a 6-man to a 5-man rotation after the off day tomorrow. And they made that announcement today as they gained Paul Clemens as a long man in the bullpen to replace the 6th starter, Oberholzer.
And I'm sure a tough meeting for Bo Porter to try to even put together there with Brett Oberholzer.
Yeah. Now what you say is there's nothing you've done to reserve this demotion here. But just keep doing what you're doing. 2 balls and a strike.
Yeah, when you inform a guy that we want you to start, you're a starter for us, but there's no room to start here right now, at least for some period of time, it probably makes sense, but it's going to hurt anyway.
That's out to right center field. Adam Jones backing on it. Jones there for the catch to end the first inning with no runs, a hit, and a man left, and no score after one.
Head to the top of the second. Scott Feldman back on the mound. A veteran of the league and, of course, a veteran on this pitching staff. Pitching coach Brent Strom talking about him just a couple of days ago, saying he's basically like another pitching coach for me. These two work together, bouncing off ideas off of each other. Stromy said that Feldman will look at hitters' tendencies, tell Stromy how some of these hitters react. You know, Feldman knows these guys a lot better than Stromy. Stromy's spending a lot of time in the minor leagues and coming up, still trying to learn all these guys up in the American League. Ronnie?
Yes, he does have a wealth of knowledge. Now the shift is on, as usual, for Chris Davis. That puts Altuve out there in shallow right field, as you can see, and also in shallow right center, VR. And there's strike one to the big slugger at .231 with 7 homers, 25 runs batted in for Davis. This is the way the Astros have been aligned against the big left-handed hitter, who's won for his last 23. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Feldman gets a call there, and it's 1-2 as he comes up to the top portion of the strike zone.
Similar to that third strike call to end the game the other night with Davis at the plate.
True. Davis 1 for 12 in this series. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Chris. Astros starting pitchers have the 4th best ERA in the American League, 3.84. It's in the air, foul, and it's still a 2-ball, 2-strike count. They put together an outstanding run of work lately. And over the last 26 starts, the Astros starters have an ERA of 3.08.
Yeah, that's not the blip on the radar type of a streak for the club.
Swing and a miss by Davis. Corcoran with a throw to Guzman. First strikeout for Feldman.
Hand it to big Chris Davis, digging down the line right there, forcing a play.
Yeah. J.J. Hardy comes up.
You'll find that one time through a rotation, any rotation on a club that looks really good. But when you make it for a month and a half, as the Astros have been doing, I think it speaks to who this staff can be and maybe who they are.
What a turnaround. There's a strike to Hardy. Hardy is 3 for 11 in this series with an RBI. Still without a home run. 301 average, 14 runs batted in. Long streak of 269 at bats without a homer going back to last year for Hardy. No balls, 2 strikes, and it's really mysterious based on his career resume because he's had consistent 20 home run seasons. He hit 25 last year. He hit 30 in 2011. 1-2. However, his batting average has been very good for the last month.
Solid player. Even if he doesn't provide the great long ball, he's a heck of a shortstop. Add the long ball and he's one of the best.
It's near the right field line. George Springer hustling over and into foul territory. 2 outs. A reminder now, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time later in today's game. It's brought to you by Miller Lite. And while we have a moment, Jonathan Schoop ready to hit. Congratulations to longtime friend Jim Drought, who retired as a basketball coach after 44 years. And he's been coaching at Cy Falls High School in Northwest Houston. Tremendous career.
Man can only tolerate so much dribbling.
Strike to Jonathan Schoop. Schoop at .213 has 5 homers, 17 runs batted in. He's had 164 at bats. Sharp breaking ball takes it to 0-2. This is the 5th start for Feldman since he returned from the disabled list with right biceps tendonitis. He signed a 3-year contract with Houston over the winter. 1 ball, 1 strike. Took the opening day start and beat the Yankees here 6-2 in his first game as an Astro with shutout baseball for 6 2/3 innings.
You compare this to a couple of starts back for Scott Feldman at LA against the Angels. He is much sharper here this afternoon, and the numbers would indicate that from the previous.
Off the glove of Dominguez, on through into left field. Jones takes the turn, and Robbie Grossman gets to it, fires in towards second. That ball did not come up for Domingo. It stayed under, and Schoop is aboard.
Yeah, I think an honest Matt Dominguez would also tell you for some reason he thought he was going to catch this and just simply didn't. I don't think that's the easiest play in the world, but I think Matt would tell you that he knows he should make that play.
Ruled a single for Schoop. Brent Strom comes out. It's kind of an unusual time. You may have seen something mechanically there with Feldman. David Lowe will be the batter.
That is an unusual point to have the pitching coach come out. It has to be something very specific seen.
David Lowe has a lot of defensive value to this Baltimore club. We talked about that during yesterday's game. He's a 159 hitter, so he's not approached what he did for Kansas City last year. He's driven in only 3 runs and 88 at bats. But he is a wizard with the glove in left field. Play the other outfield positions as well. Feldman delivers, and it's strike 1 to David Lowe.
A lot of high strikes from Feldman. That may be by design. I know that Brent Strom loves to have guys exploit the top end of the strike zone.
Yes, he does. Use the entire strike zone. Bo Porter talks about that a lot. 1-1. And I think what they're emphasizing is, you know, a pitcher's been taught to keep the ball down for the most part, but major league hitters, there are a lot of really good low ball hitters in the big leagues.
And I think they also feel that once you exploit the top end of the zone, it changes the eye, that place in the zone to look for the hitter.
Yes. If you were hitting and you knew the pitch wasn't ever going to be above thigh high, Ash, that would give you a tremendous advantage.
You make that visual box a lot smaller and you zone in right there. But yeah, I think there's a lot to it, and I know that Brent Strom has from day one here with Houston been a believer in expanding the zone.
Throw goes over.
Question is, with some guys that don't throw really hard, you never, at least as a former catcher, I've never been sure if those guys can succeed in the top end of the strike zone. But Brent Strom is proving that these pitchers can.
Breaking pitch, good stop by Corcoran. When you're calling a game and thinking about sequences on a given hitter, do you have in mind, how do we want to set this guy up to get him out? How far ahead are you thinking on your pitches you call?
You do, but a lot of times it may be an at-bat that you might deem as semi-meaningless. Nobody on base, an out, 2 outs. You don't want to expose your big weapon at that point, generally speaking. Now, you can also make the argument that if the guy sees what is really the pitch you want him to see during a tough spot in the ball game, maybe that forces him to think more during the course of the game. So you're always kind of revolving all the thoughts around, but I always try to remember, what did we show this guy previously in the game?
Runner takes off, and that ball's yanked up the right field line and headed for the seats. That's a line drive 2-run homer by David Lowe, and a 2-0 lead for the Orioles. Lowe really got into that one and attacked it for his first home run as an Oriole.
See, that would not be one of those meaningless at bats, obviously, as it turns out, but you can get fooled with a guy that's hitting a $150 something and 2 outs in the second inning of a ball game. It'll surprise you, and he gets a pitch up.
So Lowe now with 1 homer, 5 runs batted in, has given the Orioles the 2-0 advantage. This one goes to center field. Fowler waiting for it. For out number 3, the ball that got under the glove of Matt Dominguez then sets it up for the 2-run homer, and it's 2-0 Baltimore.
Celebrate Faith and Family Night with your Houston Astros Saturday, June 14th. That's following the 3:10 p.m. game against Tampa Bay's Rays. It features a post-game concert with Christian rock band Mercy Me. For tickets, visit astros.com/faith.
Big week coming up here with the draft on Thursday night, starting about the same time as the Astros game with the Angels, 6:10. Draft getting underway at 6 o'clock, and a lot of publicity, of course, going the Astros' way right now as they prepare that number 1 pick. So we'll be talking about some of the candidates as we move throughout the next few games. Tomorrow's an off day, then the Angels are in for 3 starting Tuesday night. 2-0 Orioles. Chris Carter at 192 has 8 homers, 21 runs batted in. Wei-Yin Chen delivers, and it's ball 1 to Carter. Carter trying to get on track. He took the 3 days off to work on his hitting and then responded very well. Big game. A couple of homers his first game back. And he homered in Baltimore off Wei-Yin Chen on May 9th this year.
It's intriguing for me. 3 days to work on the hitting, and yet every day that's what it's about, especially for a DH coming to the ballpark. So maybe 3 days to relax the head a little bit.
Well, as you know, this sport can play some tricks with the mind. They hit the 2 home runs in Kansas City last game there, but this series 0 for 6 for Chris. Orioles have not been pitching very well lately at all. That's to right field, and that's going to drop in, but foul. That's some slicing sidewards action on it. It looked like he might have a hit just inside the right field line.
It was bloody right from the get-go. Just wooded land fair.
What a rough night for Mark Appel as he returned to the action last night in California. And he gave up 10 earned runs on 10 hits in 1 1/3 innings as Lancaster lost to Rancho Cucamonga 16-13. But he was throwing in the mid-90s. Foul back.
That can only mean the ball was getting out of the ballpark quickly.
He gave up 3 homers, all on fastballs, reportedly up in the zone. But the velocity was there. That is the good news on Mark Appel. Carter strikes out. That's number 3 for Wei-Yin Chen.
That's a good little strikeout slider he's got. He's also utilized that fastball in the top end of the zone.
That ball very low. Jesus Guzman with a 204 average, 2 homers, 4 runs batted in is next. He's a career 271 hitter against lefties. This year he's hit 185 against the southpaws. He struck out as a pinch hitter yesterday in the 9th, 0 for 1 in this series. And there's strike 1. Bo Porter explained yesterday that knowing that Chen would be pitching today, he would have his right-handed hitting lineup in there, as he played Mark Krause yesterday. And also Marwin Gonzalez got a call, the switch hitter. No balls, 2 strikes. Bo wants to keep everybody involved, does not want players sitting for 4 days at a time if possible. Second baseman Scope just moved several steps to his left right before that pitch. When the count got to 0-2, more of a defensive situation for the hitter, so there's more likelihood probably in the Orioles' minds that he could go the other way with this. In the dirt, they appeal at first. Mike Machlinsky with a call. It's ball 1. And fouled away. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Even though tomorrow's an off day for the Astros, there will be plenty of activity here at the ballpark, as the Astros will bring in some candidates to be drafted for a workout. Mostly Texas-based players. Some from Louisiana will be coming in, so some of the regional cross-checkers can look at these players. It's 2-2, and the cross-checkers are people who go all around an area, and they will double up on the scouts' work by giving a second set of eyes for the organization, so they haven't had a chance to see all the players those area scouts have seen. Ground ball to shortstop. J.J. Hardy. 2 outs. So let's see what the possibilities are. Brady Aiken, San Diego. He's got a 93-mile-per-hour fastball for Brady Aiken. Pretty polished. Cathedral Catholic High School. He's a possibility for that first draft choice. So is North Carolina State lefty Carlos Rodon. At the low ERA. And Tyler Kolek of Shepherd High School, ranked as the hardest thrower in the draft. 100 miles per hour is no big deal for Tyler Kolek.
A lot of buzz about Brady Aiken, the left-handed pitcher from San Diego. But I don't know. I guess it comes down to that board right there would say you're thinking pitcher only. And I would assume that pitcher is going to be that first pick. Is it going to be the high school kid or the college guy? Where do you feel like you need in the organization now to have somebody coming along maybe a second wave behind some of the guys already playing.
Good point. Astros are pretty deep in pitching. The high chop to Davis for a third out, and after 2, it's Baltimore 2, Houston nothing.
And it's time for you to tweet your photos using hashtag CSNH fan photo for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming broadcast. It's brought to you by AT&T CSNH fan photo. Brownie.
Julia, you get our fan of the game for last night. You worked the ball game here, of course, in the afternoon.
Yes.
And then you had what? A little dinner with a friend?
I did.
And then what did you do?
Then I got this crazy idea to go to the Texas-Rice baseball game that didn't start until 10 p.m. I'm regretting it now. Since it didn't end till, I think it was around 2 o'clock in the morning.
There were rain delays?
Lots of rain delays, yes.
Wow.
Two ball games every day for you, no matter what, right?
That's right.
Well, we did double up. Wow.
Some kind of grinder.
Markakis takes strike 1. How was the game, Julia?
It was a great game. When I got there, Texas had just tied it up at 1. Texas went on to beat Rice in the 11th inning 3-2.
And there was a 22-inning game at the regional in Louisiana, we were hearing.
It's incredible.
22 innings.
College baseball is fun.
Especially this time of year. 1 ball and 2 strikes with these spots in the College World Series at stake with the championship games in those regionals today. A lot to follow around the country. The Texas schools have been performing very well. I think TCU won that 22-inning game. Foul back. We're going to check some of those scores as we go along, but yeah, it's really that time of year when there's a convergence of a lot of different levels of baseball. You've got high school ball with the playoffs there. Now the draft is upcoming Thursday night. The college regionals moving into the World Series, and Major League Baseball full into its season. That is a foul tip strikeout. That's strikeout number 2 for Feldman.
Must have been something in the dinner for Julia to make her want to go see another ball game. Huh?
Must have been. Must have been.
Tamales.
She just can't
I
get
did
enough.
have tamales.
Yeah.
Got some Tex-Mex on last night.
Well, that's good stuff.
Those will lead to some late night baseball every time.
Yeah, they will. Machado fouls it away. Strike 1. Well, Julia feels duty bound to take her friend from Baltimore, who's never had this type of cuisine, out for dinner.
Oh, that's very kind of her.
Yeah.
You got to do it.
Was she impressed?
She loved it. First time for tamales.
That's in for a strike. 0-2. We can only hope that the next time you go to Camden Yards, you are treated to some crab legs. Or
exactly right. We made a deal.
Don't forget your friends in the process.
Clam chowder. Good choices there as well. 1-2.
As Ash invites himself to dinner.
That's never happened before.
Oh, that's the way this is going to go today, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Guess who's coming to dinner? Ash again?
Well, you know what? I'm not going to say no.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Manny Machado. And shoots that one into left center field. A well hit ball. Fowler over to try to prevent it from going to a double area, and he throws into second, and it's safe. And he just picked it up so deep that the throw was long, and it one hop Altuve. So it is a double for Machado, his second of the year.
Manny Machado, the doubles machine from a year ago, leading the league. And he's got a slow start on things in terms of the 2 baggers this year, but this is the way he accomplished what he did a year ago. Before that horrific blowout of the knee.
He led the league with 51 doubles. Missed the first month of this season with that knee. And now double number 2 of this year puts him in scoring position for Nelson Cruz. Cruz bounced into a 6-4-3 double play in the first inning after the first 2 Orioles had reached against Feldman. Toronto leads 2-0 over Kansas City in Toronto. They're in the bottom of the 7th inning. Very low scoring game in that ballpark. Feldman gets strike 1 upstairs on Cruz. He got hurt upstairs on David Lowe on the 2-run homer.
Feldman, a first pitch strike throwing machine here this afternoon, 11 of 12.
Feldman's 31 years old, born in Hawaii. Went to the College of San Mateo in California. He hit him, and Cruz is bent over, and it might be the left wrist area. Let's see. The 7th hit batsman for Feldman this year. Pulling off the glove from the left hand.
And that's that area that can take so much abuse. Jeff Bagwell used to have this spot hit on a semi-regular basis there for a while. It in part comes from the incorrect turn with the body toward the pitcher to start with, and in this case it costs.
Boy, it did. Only the 2nd time Cruz has been hit by a pitch this year. First thing they do is test the grip. Testing for a possible broken bone. There's Jeff Bagwell.
You see, Jeff was actually turning back toward the catcher, and it still happened on him.
MVP year of 94 for Jeff. A broken hand when hit by a pitch. And he wore that pad on his left batting glove for the rest of the time.
Looks like Buck Showalter might have a chance to breathe here for a moment. Well, if you lost a player that's performing like Cruz is presently for the O's, devastating to a skipper.
Well, he already lost Chris Davis to the disabled list for a while, and they're trying to get Chris back into his usual swing mode. Now Cruz has picked up the slack in such a great way here. Now he's aboard, and it's 1st and 2nd, 1 out for Adam Jones. Jones grounded out to Matt Dominguez earlier. Cruz has gone 10 for 21 on the Orioles road trip, 4 homers and 8 runs batted in. But they're 2 and 4 on this trip. They lost 2 of 3 in Milwaukee before coming here. Go to second base. Well, there's been a retort from David Price to Big Papi David Ortiz's declaration that this is war. After Price hit Ortiz with a pitch a couple of nights ago, Price said this is not war.
The diplomat.
Ball 1 to Jones. So is he going to be considered for Secretary of State? He's trying to douse some cold water on that rhetoric.
Take down that wall, Big Papi.
Price said he was mad, so I get it. We all say stupid stuff when we're mad.
I think that was an apology.
Runner takes off for third. Here's the throw from Corcoran to Dominguez, and it's a double steal.
Matty D gets to the bag a bit late here. Carlos Corcoran makes a pretty good throw right over the bag. But with Dominguez coming in just a fraction tardy, there's no chance to even snap down a tag. That throw may be on the coaching box side of the bag a bit, but you know, if you're there and able to snap it, you might get yourself a lead out.
Well, Machado was stolen base number 1, and for Cruz number 1 as well. Now the infield comes in with 1 out and a 1-1 count on Jones. He does not go fishing for that one. It's 2 balls and a strike. Now David Price went on to say, you can't relate the game that we play to a war.
I think that's fair to say.
Very fair to say. Fly ball out to right center field. George Springer in position for the catch. Here's the tag at third. Here's Machado coming to the plate. And the throw is cut off the mound. It's 3-0 Baltimore on a Jones sac fly.
Yeah, there was no way you were going to cut off the run on this depth of a fly ball. Springer looked like he actually took a little off of that throw. I'd like to see him just go ahead and cut it loose to the cutoff man. But I like the way he's set up. He gets behind the ball, moves into it beautifully. That's not his Class A throw, but even the Class A had no chance.
Now Chris Davis, who struck out in the second inning, comes around for the second time. Altuve's out in right field. Three, 4-0 for Baltimore. 0-1-0 for Houston. Each club with 1 man left on base so far. And a turn back towards second and a throw. Well, Cruz wasn't exactly rushing to get back to second base. Now they've called a balk on Feldman.
Looked like the third base umpire, Andy Fletcher, took this call. To see what went on here from Scott. Well, you know, it used to be said that you had to step toward second base if you wanted to use this move. Guys don't step there anymore.
Ground ball to right field. Altuve throws him out. 1 run, 1 hit, 1 man left. After 2.5, it's 3-0 Orioles.
In-game live at csnhouston.com is the home of all the stats you need. For example, the guy who hit the home run, David Lowe, he likes the ball high and tight inside. Those are the kinds of stats you find at In-Game Live. You can also vote for your player of the game. Your choice is shown on TV during Astros post-game live. How about Twitter? Our Twitter question of the day is, especially with Paul Clemens coming up from OKC, who would you like to see next come up from AAA? There's lots of options there, not just Jonathan Singleton. You have Mike Fultonevich, Brett Oberholzer now at OKC. So tweet me at HochanCSN and explain, because I'm reading the best tweets on TV. Guys?
Thanks, Howard, and we're very pleased to be joined by Hall of Famer Cal Ripken Jr., and he threw out the first pitch today. So what does bring you to Houston?
I was here for a couple of reasons, but mostly my corporate relationship with Northern Safety. We're developing a leadership and safety message to keep everybody a little bit safer in the workplace. A lot of people think I played all those games in a row because I played it safe, but the real fact of the matter is it's your alertness and it's your awareness of where you are in your space, and it's a reminder that, you know, something could happen. There's a lot of risks out there on the baseball field.
Boy.
And certainly there are risks in many, many different jobs that we want to make sure that people are aware of.
That's for sure. Carlos Corbin was strike one. That's why a lot of companies have risk management people, and that's a big part of our world these days, isn't it, Cal?
Well, no doubt about it. And I think the biggest protection that I had was that I was very much aware of where you were in that moment. And Dad used to always say, sometimes you got to kick yourself in the tail a little bit because it's easy to go through the motions. And that's the most dangerous thing when you do go through the motions, that sometimes you're not ready to deal with things that happen.
So that message, it actually sounds to me like part of the awareness is while giving your very best at all times, because sometimes when you back off, that's when I think a lot of players will find out getting themselves injured.
Well, that's exactly right. Is that if you play it safe, first of all, you're not going to be as productive. You're kind of playing it a little bit less than you are. But I think your guard goes down, and your guard needs to be up at all times. Turning a double play at second base, if you think there's a routine double play and the guy's not coming into you and you let your guard down, and all of a sudden he comes up underneath you at the end, and you're not ready for it, you step on him, you fall down, you sprain an ankle, and then you're not playing.
You talked about your dad, tremendous work ethic, obviously, and then you take it to a different level with games played, but you weren't out there just to add to the games played every day.
I was just getting in there watching my highlight right there.
Which number stance was this?
I don't know. I stood up pretty much upright early in my career and dove to the outside corner, and then I started spreading out and getting a little closer. And I did have 1,000 different stances.
Didn't we all?
Some of them worked, some of them didn't.
Strike one to Jonathan Villar. As the streak went on, people were just amazed by the fact that you were able to take the field for so many games without missing, and that shortstop, an extremely active position. You're exposed on that pivot, as you mentioned, and then later on you were third baseman. But now looking back on it, do you have some different thoughts now about how you were able to achieve that streak?
Yeah, I mean, I had a physical size and a physical presence and a resiliency that served me well. I could stay away from injuries, and I knew I could play a little bit less than 100%. I think everybody does. If no matter what position you're in, you're 100% the first day of spring training, I think, and then it's somewhere less all the way through than that. But the mental grind, I think most players, if you're able to play one season all the way through, and if you're an everyday player and you're playing 155 games, it's the same as playing 162. You're not getting the real benefit of those 7 off days, and it's the mental frame of mind and being positive and knowing that you can meet that challenge each and every day. That's the hard part to get past.
Sure. Top ball goes foul third base side, and shortstop is in the game, involved in every pitch, and sort of the captain of the infield. So there is that mental process that just really went. Was it tougher mentally when you got to late August than physically sometimes?
Well, I remember the dog days of August was the physical exhaustion and the humidity and the heat. And I'm sure it's experienced here in many ways during the course of the day. You have this beautiful stadium that is temperature controlled in here, which helps a lot. But yeah, the physical grind lays on you in August. And I think the mental part, if you're really into the game at shortstop and you're going through the checklist of the pitches and positioning yourself accordingly, that keeps your mind occupied and keeps you fresh, I think. If you're at third base, many times you're a spectator. You can't see all the things that are happening, and you don't get as much plays, and there's not as much responsibility. Sometimes you can start to go to sleep down there just from the inactivity.
Flare to left field, a sliding play by David Lowe.
Well, I imagine through the years you've talked to so many players. I've played a little bit, and I mean, from the moment you get up in the morning, you start hearing these injuries that guys will come up with, bizarre injuries. But it's phenomenal as a former player to consider that you could have gone through the number of years you did playing every day and playing the way you did. No matter what you say, it doesn't make sense to the rest of us players. I want you to know that, Cal.
Well, I do feel, within a lot of people looked at me as if I had this great secret that I really knew. There was a joy of playing the game. And I think a lot of us that did get the chance to play the game, you never have to grow up. You're a kid. You love doing that sort of thing. But I really enjoyed it, and that carried me through most of the times. And I was stubborn. I mean, stubborn the way my dad was stubborn is that when you're considered a gamer and playing a position that you were, your team relies on you. And it was an honor to go out there and have your teammates count on your ability to play every day.
And let's say you were slumping, but you always thought, this is the day I'm going to break out of this slump here.
Well, the slumping is all part of the game. So, I mean, you're not always going to get a hit to win the game. You're not always going to hit a home run. You're not going to make the game-saving catch. But what are all those other things you can do? What are the intangibles that you bring to the table? Frank Robinson paid me the biggest compliment as one of my managers. He said, the easiest thing about my day every day was when I looked at the lineup was to write your name in the lineup. And sometimes I had to ask other people if they could play that day, and I had to wait for the lineups and those sorts of things. It was a joy to be able to manage you because I could count on you every day.
Well, it was a joy to have you on with us. Thanks so much, Cal.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you, Cal.
Thank you.
The Orioles lead it. Be right back.
Fourth, and enjoy a Father's Day picnic on the field in Minute Maid Park June 15th after the 1:10 game against the Tampa Bay Rays. Admission includes a game ticket, post-game picnic buffet in the outfield, autograph session, and much more. For tickets, visit astros.com/picnic. Brownie.
Thanks, Julia. That was ball one to J.J. Hardy, 3-0 Baltimore. And that one goes foul. By the way, the catch in the last inning, I inappropriately named David Lowe, but he's out of the game now for some reason. And Delman Young is in left field. So Lowe, after hitting the 2-run homer, left the ball game. And no, let's see. He switched to right field, and Cruz left the game. That's what happened. Foul ball back. So we got all caught up in Cal Ripken. Now we'll get the scorecards updated with Lowe moving to right field and Cruz leaving after being hit by that pitch. We don't have any report yet on the hand of Cruz.
It's pretty obvious he was hurt. And that's what blows me away about Cal Ripken. The wrist injury here, and you hope for Nelson Cruz in the way he's been playing that this is nothing serious, no broken bone. But how you go to the plate, how you play defense, how you run the bases, all those games, all those days that Cal Ripken played, and nothing went wrong to the extent that he had to come out and couldn't play the next day. Just it's beyond belief for a guy who's played the game.
It is mind-boggling. Hardy puts it in the air and it's foul, and you know, all the years as that streak wore on, makes you appreciate that even more now, because there are very few players who play 162 games even once.
Well, you're not even permitted to. If you're a Jose Altuve today, it's generally believed as a manager that you're not fulfilling your duty if you don't give him a little bit of rest to make him as strong as can be. But you heard Cal Ripken say that if you play 155 games, you might as well have played 160, 162. It's the same thing. And I tend to agree with Cal.
It's a line shot to right center field. Fowler over. And Hardy has hit his way on here. It's hit number 5 for the Birds. They've had some good swings against Scott Feldman today.
I will say this: when you're playing every day and you get a rest, they're some of the most dysfunctional days you can have as a player. You're bouncing around trying to figure out if you might get in at some point and going to the cage and wearing yourself out. A lot of times it just proves easier to go out and play.
Jonathan Scope singled under the glove of Matt Dominguez into left field, rode home with a David Lowe 2-run. That's ball 1. The Orioles were 15-15 in the month of May, while the Astros were 15-14. Feldman, a timeout was called. He was stepping back off the rubber. On to Texas for the Birds next, where they open a 3-game series on Tuesday night. They have tomorrow off. They'll meet the Rangers in a 3-game set. All-night games in Arlington. That's in for a strike. It's 1-1. Bud Norris, the former Astro, due to pitch the June 4th game at Texas against Nick Martinez. And the Astros, in that Bud Norris trade, got a draft choice that they will be using next Thursday night. Compensation pick, a relatively high choice. So they are pretty well stocked with choices for Thursday night. Well, Thursday night is only the first 2 rounds of the draft. It will continue on Friday. Meanwhile, Buck Showalter's club, trying to gain a split of this 4-game series, has the 3-0 lead here. Into left center field. Jones with a hit. Hardy to second base. 2 men on, nobody out for David Lowe. Lowe attacked the 2-2 pitch and lined a 2-run homer to right field in the 2nd inning. The Orioles are 10th in runs scored in the American League. Nick Hundley's on deck.
It was a pitch left up last time up for David Lowe that was driven for the home run. Now he bunts.
Dominguez to Altuve on the sacrifice. So Lowe, after ripping a 2-run homer, puts one down to get Hardy to third and Scope to second. Interesting.
That is interesting. Bottom of the order for the Orioles, the 8-hitter. Guy who's just homered his previous at bat, but it looks like Buck Showalter with that 3-0 lead would like to just start tacking on a few.
Right. Now Nick Hundley, the number 9 hitter, has a shot at driving in a couple. The infield moves in. Hundley hit a fly ball to center in the 2nd inning. That's fairly conventional managerial strategy. Add to that lead, and if it requires a bunt to do that, to drive in a couple. And if they could make it 5-0, that would certainly be a substantial lead in the 4th inning.
Of course, the other side is that sometimes you find out after the fact that it's the player that took it upon himself to lay down the bunt. It could have been David Lowe's decision.
Yes, it could have. Hundley came in a trade for lefty Troy Patton, is from this area, coming from the Padres. Now Corcoran and Feldman will talk it over.
Sometimes I think Carlos Corcoran is today's Carlton Fisk. He is not opposed to a meeting or 10 during the course of a game.
No. Well, especially a guy who's the backup catcher.
Oh, he's excellent at what he does.
Right. Doesn't get in there a lot. He wants to make sure, absolutely certain.
He's one of the really nice receivers in the game today.
I think probably a guy who's catching 4 days out of 5 gets into that rhythm. You would know, Ash, much better, but probably a little more. We wouldn't say indecision necessarily, but let's slow things down and make absolutely certain this is what we want here.
Yeah, I think Carlos is definitely a let's talk it over and get it straight guy.
It's 2-0. Yeah, Carlton Fisk did that for a long time, didn't he?
Wore out the other bench, I'll guarantee you. I wouldn't be surprised if he wore out his own bench. Here guys screaming. Let's go.
Well, he used that strategy to get him all the way to the Hall of Fame.
Great player. Take nothing away. That guy was a great player.
Foul ball back, and that makes the count 2 balls and a strike to Nick Hundley. The Astros have had a really good run. They had the 7-game winning streak. That was ended yesterday. Now the key is not to backslide at the end of that run and lose some of the gains they made. They're 24-33 right now. And with a winning month of May, they have served notice that they can compete very well. The Angels will be coming in for a 3-game set next, so that'll be their next challenge. They are 2-5 against the Angels this year, 1-3 here. Mike Trout and company heading this way. Strike makes it 2 balls and 2 strikes now. And in the AL West currently, Oakland has a 3.5-game lead over the Angels, who are in second place. Texas is at 500, 6 games behind. Then it's Seattle 6.5 and Houston 10.5. Swing and a miss there, and Hundley is down on strikes. So let's look ahead to the Angels series upcoming starting Tuesday night. C.J. Wilson and Colin McHugh. Wednesday, it's Garrett Richards, who had a short outing a few days ago against Jared Kozar. And Tyler Skaggs goes against Brad Peacock on Thursday night. The Thursday game is an earlier start, a 6:10 start. The Astros are traveling to Minneapolis-St. Paul for the next game on Friday night.
I was going to say, Brownie, Tyler Skaggs is the guy that's abused Houston.
Yeah.
Been really tough.
He got abused a little bit himself last night. Now, Bo Porter's coming out. It'll be Markakis batting. Markakis is 1 for 2. First base is open. Machado on deck. Machado's been hit by a pitch and he's doubled. By the way, going back to yesterday's game, that leadoff double by Markakis in the Baltimore 4-1 win involved a close play at second base. Robbie Grossman throwing to Jose Altuve. Bo Porter went out and did not choose to challenge the call, and he admitted after the game that that was not the right decision.
First hitter of the ball game led to that 1-0 first inning lead for the Orioles, and they went on to win it as that stat continues to mount.
That's in for a strike.
First team to score, they tend to win.
Oh, you mentioned it yesterday. It's a pretty high percentage at the time, even if it's only a 1-run edge. What do do you think it is? About 60-65% in the major leagues that the team that scores first wins?
That seems to be about right. It always astounds me. A run in the first inning, the top of the first inning, for example, just doesn't seem like it should be that impactful.
Fly ball. Fowler back into left center field. And that's a third out. With no runs, 2 hits, 2 men stranded in scoring position. That could play very well into what happens later. 3-0 Baltimore. Ty Wigginton. He had 12 homers, 26 runs batted in August 2008 with the Astros. He is the last man to post those similar numbers to George Springer's 10 homers and 25 runs batted in the month of May this year.
And here all these years, I thought video was more advanced in 2008. No, that's a pretty good month for Ty Wigginton.
Yeah, it's ancient history, Ash. Look at that grainy video.
Yeah. It's back when they were using 3-man rotations, right? And yeah, Cy Young was pitching 600 innings a year.
That's it. They used one baseball the entire game back in that era.
I didn't realize they had the wherewithal to get a Towles Hill built in those days.
Now it's George Springer, and there's ball 1. That might be surprising to you that Ty Wigginton was the guy in that company with George Springer. So Jose Altuve in May had more hits than anybody in the majors. George Springer was 3rd in homers. And 4th in runs batted in. Dexter Fowler led in walks, and Dallas Keuchel was tied for 2nd in wins with 4. It's a shot to right field. David Lowe can't catch it. Springer has extra bases. Springer into 2nd with a leadoff double. His 7th double of the year.
Yeah, I think at some point outfielders around baseball are going to play a little deeper on George Springer like they do on Nelson Cruz, because when it comes off his bat, it's just a little more lively than a lot of the other fellas. Like to see George utilizing right field when he's struggling a little bit. Wouldn't hurt any time, but the pop for Springer is just exceptional.
He's aboard as the Astros trail 3-0, leading off a home 4th for Dexter Fowler. The hits are in favor of Baltimore, 6-2 right now. That's ball 1 to Fowler, who struck out earlier. Fowler looks at a strike. That evens a count of 1-1 to Dexter. This is the 3rd start for Wei-Yin Chen this year of his 11 without facing a left-handed batter in the starting lineup. switch hitters.
I don't know if that's a good thing.
I have to agree with you. Sometimes just that different look of facing maybe one or two left-handed batters will throw the starting pitcher off a little bit, won't it?
You give him 9 right-handed hitters and you start settling in on spotting down and away and maybe coming up and in occasionally. You just groove in on it. As you say, you get 1, 2, 3 guys in there on the other side and it fouls all that up.
Astros have 4 switch hitters playing today. 3 and 1. Fowler, Grossman, Corporate, and VR.
Considered a great advantage when you have that. But yeah, I'm not so sure that maybe having one left-handed bat in there wouldn't be a good thing.
3 of the 4 switch hitters are better so far this year from the right side for the Astros. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Fowler. He let the bat fly that time. Dexter 0 for 7 lifetime against Wei-Yin Chen. Rice and Texas A&M play late this afternoon. And that regional at Rice. Fowler's down on strikes. 5 punch outs for Chen.
Wei-Yin Chen is throwing this fastball by some hitters this afternoon. Just country gas right there.
Fowler retired. Now it's Matt Dominguez. He hit a fly ball to center earlier. That's strike 1 to Matt. Chen had a 3-game winning streak back on April 8th through the 21st. He's had 2 no decisions in his last 2 starts, and he's given up 5 earned runs in each of those. 1 against Cleveland, 1 at Milwaukee. And the fastball is pretty crisp from him today. No balls, 2 strikes.
Slipping the cheese on by. And it, generally speaking, about 92, a bit surprising here.
3-6-0 for Baltimore, 0-2-0 for Houston. One and 2. Good article in the Houston Chronicle today about Tyler Kolek. Jesus Ortiz, Shepherd High School, a young man who throws 100 miles per hour. And he could be going to TCU. He has committed to them if he does not sign. And it really creates an awareness, an article like this, of what the family goes through, the work ethic that he got from his dad who works on a ranch. And then his younger brother is a fine player as well. He's a junior, so he could be drafted pretty high a year from now. That's fouled away. And Nolan Ryan went up along with Bo Porter. There were some other Astros who went up to scout him in a game recently.
And Jesus Ortiz was on that trip, and he came back thoroughly impressed with not only the young kid, but the family and the folks around him.
Fouled away, 1 and 2. There's a lot at stake for these families, you know, and the decision of whether to take what should be a very lucrative offer to turn pro or go on to college. Nolan Ryan was saying in the article that he thinks Kolek is more polished than he was coming out of high school.
Nolan played in a different day, though, and back then I think that young high school player was really valued as a guy that you could apply tutelage to for 2 or 3 years, whatever, in the minor leagues.
Out to center field, Adam Jones backing. Springer waiting at second. There's the catch on the warning track. Springer will easily get to third on a long out, number 2. Yes, things have changed since then.
See some of the brightest upcoming stars in baseball as the Corpus Christi Hooks take on the San Antonio Missions at Minute Maid Park. That's Tuesday, June 10th. Get your tickets today by calling 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit astros.com.
Well, the Hooks are certainly an interesting club to watch these days. It'll be a good opportunity for them to play in this ballpark and for the fans to see them. Chris Carter struck out in the second inning. Astros trailing 3-0 here in the fourth inning with 2 outs. They would love to cut into that lead right here and now. Ball 1 to Carter. Oklahoma City beat Memphis last night 8-6, getting home run number 14 of the year from John Singleton. He drove in 3. He's at 43 runs batted in now. There's a shot on through the shift for an RBI single for Carter, and that makes it 3-1. He found a hole even with 3 players between second and third base.
Yeah, he found that hole by hitting it right through the straight up shortstop position. And that's a nice first run on the board for Houston. You can see the shortstop swung around a bit to the third base side, and the ball just simply shot on through.
Carter picks up his 22nd run batted in. Jesus Guzman will try to keep it going. He bounced out to short in the second inning. Ball 1 to him. Astros yesterday collected only 5 hits, 4 singles and a Castro double, and losing 4-1 to Baltimore. Chris Tillman got that victory. They had really been putting some things together offensively during their 7-game winning streak, averaging 5.6 runs. And generally offense does come and go at the major league level, but the pitching had been really solid throughout for the Astros. They had a 1.29 ERA during Bo Porter's club's 7-game win streak. That pitch goes for ball 3, and it's 3 balls, no strikes. Robbie Grossman's on deck. Corpus Christi blasted Northwest Arkansas in Corpus last night, 11-2. You've got players to watch when they come here, like Delino DeShields Jr., Nolan Fontana. That's ball 4. Guzman takes the 4-pitch walk. See who else is doing well in the Astros farm system. Preston Tucker, he's another Corpus guy who's exploding on the scene this year. Ash, 2 homers last night, 13 this year, 3rd in AA.
Not too bad. Young outfielder. Is he maybe one of those future guys you see in the outfield for Houston? Those numbers would indicate that he is very close. Ranked 20th. I don't know much about the rankings, but then you look at Thomas Shirley, the left-handed pitcher. Great ERA, terrific whip. Tony Kemp has been outstanding, 342. Even playing in that Cal League, that I believe leads his teammates out there. Even Carlos Correa, not quite at that figure. So Tony Kemp in his first full year now in professional ball has adjusted extremely well.
Yeah, Correa's hitting 318.
Now Correa has been the run producer.
I bet he has. Visit to the mound by pitching coach Dave Wallace. Now here's Robbie Grossman, who grounded out earlier. Rolls this one out, and Machado to his left makes the flip, and Davis has to dig it out to end the Astros 4th with 1 run scoring on 2 hits, 2 men left. It's 3-1 Baltimore.
Fans, follow every Astros game with MLB.com at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Get live look-ins, instant replay scores, stats, audio, free MLB.tv game of the day, and more. Download on the App Store or visit Astros.com.
3-1 ball game here in Houston, and it'll be Machado, Cruz, and Jones due up in the 5th inning for the Baltimore Orioles. You got a 2-run homer from David Lowe in the 2nd inning. A sac fly from Jones then. Machado was hit by a pitch and he doubled. Delman Young is on deck. Cruz had to leave the game, so Young's in his spot in the lineup. 1-0-2 Machado. Got to keep our scorecards up today, Ash.
Spring training game for you, Brownie.
Yeah.
Get ready for next spring.
Well, we don't have a report yet on Cruz's hand, but it's obviously got to be of concern anytime a major power hitting star has to leave a game after being hit on the hand by a pitch. It's 2 balls and a strike. Just looking at that box score with the Lancaster game with Rancho Cucamonga. Lancaster 16-13 final. Rancho winning it last night. VR to his left, and that's out number 1. Now Delman Young with that. He took over in the number 3 spot for Cruz when Cruz left with the injury. It's his first appearance in this 4-game series. Young's had 74 at bats for the Birds with a .284 average, 1 homer, 6 runs batted in. He's been a good pinch hitter, going 4 for 8. This is not considered to be a pinch hit appearance. Yeah, kept going 2 for 5 last night, 342 as you mentioned. Correa was 2 for 6 last night. He's hitting 318. Rio Ruiz stands at 292. Conrad Gregor's hitting 357 for Lancaster. It's quite a club. Even with the loss, the Jet Hawks are 34-23.
It's Conrad Gregor who had his dad catch the home run ball, so he's got a lot going on for him.
Yeah. There's the out at first IVR on Young. Yeah, he got promoted. Didn't realize he was at Lancaster until looking at his name, because he had been in Quad Cities when he hit the home run caught by his dad.
Sounds like the fans in Lancaster have nothing to complain about if they like offensive baseball.
Nothing whatsoever. Adam Jones bats. Jones hit the sac fly in the 3rd. He's 0 for 1. Jesse Crain continues to throw bullpens here in Houston, coming back from his surgery, and we're not hearing any negative reports about his shoulder. Continuing to try to build arm strength. There's a big cut by Jones, and it's strike 1. Scott Feldman at 76 pitches has thrown 52 of those for strikes. I'm going to check the RBI column for Mr. Correa. 47 runs batted in.
Yeah, I was going to say in that upper 40 range.
He's 47 runs batted in 47 games.
Well, it's really impressive when you consider the shortstop that can do that. We were talking about J.J. Hardy and how valuable he's been as a terrific defensive player, big guy, and can really swing the bat. That's who Carlos Correa seems to be as he comes along. And I don't think it's going to change. A lot of baseball eyes have been on him, and they feel that this kid is absolutely the real deal.
Jones looks at it. It's in for a strike for Feldman. That evens the count at 2-2 for Scott.
There was a time when the Robin Yount's of the world, even Manny Machado, were coming on the scene with that kind of talent early on.
Three balls, 2 strikes. Jones laying off that sinker there. Blue Jays 4, Royals 0. That's the final from Toronto. Mark Burley going to 10-1. First 10-game winner in baseball. Edwin Encarnacion, another home run. Line shot. Altuve's there for out number 3. We go to the bottom of the 5th inning with the score 3-1 Orioles.
Astros, Dynamo, Rockets, and more. We have all your sports news covered. Check out Sportsnet Central every night at 6:10 and midnight on Comcast Sportsnet. I should have had Jackson read that promo. I'm with Jackson Ryan. All of you know Nolan Ryan. All of you know Reed Ryan. But do you know Jackson Ryan, the son of Reed Ryan? Jackson's going to be a freshman next year, and you're sitting here all the time. You're watching all the games. You're obviously a big fan. You got your hat on. I do want to ask you about the fourth with the Astros. Big baseball fan. You know your stuff. So George Springer leads things off with a double. What do you think of the offense following that?
It was nice to see George Springer get a double and get on base, and then he had a Carter single, which scored a run, and we got to run that in. Maybe we'll get some more this inning. So just keep piling it up runs.
You were pretty excited to see George Springer double. I'm guessing you like what you're seeing from Mr. Springer here lately.
I do. He has a potential to be really, really good in this league, to be a superstar, and he's got a high ceiling, and he's going to be really good. So,
what else do you like about the team right now? You've watched this little stretch they were on recently, the 7-game winning streak. What'd you see?
I like how the pitching's been going 6 or 7 innings, and I like also that we scored it, like on the road trip in Kansas City, we were scoring runs and putting some good at-bats together, and you do that, you're going to win a lot of ball games.
All right, Jackson, thank you for the time. I'm going to send it back up to Browning.
Pop up, and they all converge on it, and Jonathan Scope makes the catch. Carlos Corcoran retired. You know, that guy's going to be a good analyst someday, Ash.
I think he's been following himself some baseball.
Well, he puts on the uniform sometimes. You see him in the clubhouse quite a bit.
Very popular young man.
That's what's so great about generations. And, you know, you just imagine the conversations at the dinner table with that family. If grandfather's there, Nolan. Of course, Reed's been around baseball for many years. And what Jackson can absorb about baseball from those guys.
Wow. What an experience just to sit there with Nolan. And, of course, Reed played some professional ball.
Yes.
He's been involved in the game his entire life.
Baseball is a conversation sport.
It is. It is that. That's what a lot of the folks in New England say about the Boston Red Sox. They wake up in the morning and that's the conversation.
2-0. Like, do you think we should go put on our fatigues and go to war with Big Papi?
No, absolutely not. We will tear down that wall and have a little détente.
Wow. Foul ball gets out of play, and it's a 2-ball, 1-strike count. Well, that is something to watch, that Tampa Bay-Boston rivalry now. That's been going on for a while.
It's getting ugly.
Yeah.
Now, when you've got Big Papi saying it's war, I'm not sure you feel real comfy going out there for the next series of games.
Yeah, and he says David Price had better bring his gloves next time. No, not his baseball glove. He didn't mean that.
I think he always brings that baseball glove. Thanks for the reminder.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
Price sounded like quite the diplomat.
He did. He did.
No, I really actually very much like the comment about it's not fair to compare baseball to war. War is a completely other subject, and it's not fair to tread upon those grounds.
And that's exactly the way he explained it. 3 balls, 2 strikes. With Mark Burley's win today, 4-0 over Kansas City. He's won 6 in a row. He's 10-1. His ERA is 2.10. Second to Tanaka. A little flare into shallow center field. Adam Jones there. VR retired. 2 outs. And now it's going to be Jose Altuve. Altuve with a single in the first inning is 1 for 2. It'll be interesting to see now, as we were talking earlier with Cal Ripken, who was among the ultimate day-to-day players, just bearing down, what kind of pace Altuve can maintain after leading the majors in hits during May.
I wish we'd have had a little more time with Cal. That might have been an intriguing question to see what the big shortstop, the great that played all those games in a row, thinks of this fellow right here and the way he plays the game.
Yeah. It's 1-1. Rolls over on that one, fouls at the Pat Listach. It's a 1-ball, 2-strike count. Pat will make sure a deserving fan receives that baseball, even if it's on the carom. One hopper, J.J. Hardy. And, oh, just barely out. Altuve ran hard on that one. And let's see if Bo Porter's going to come out. He's taking his time. After the out call at first by Mike Muchlinski, Bo will then turn toward the Astros bench once he gets out there. This is the procedure. The Orioles are not allowed to leave the field yet.
Brownie, I thought they got him by the slimmest of margins, but it's phenomenal on a one-hopper to short. Wow, that might be the proverbial tie right there, huh? I don't know. Well, ball does seem to hit the glove just before foot comes down on the bag. Really, really close. Great work by Altuve.
3-1 Baltimore. Here is Chris Davis, and it's our Comcast Business taking you inside the game. We look at the shift on Chris Davis. There it is as it plays out. He rolls over on a ball out to Jose Altuve in right field, and this shift has worked very well on Davis for the Astros this year, Ash.
Davis shows no inclination to try to take advantage of the left side like we've seen from a number of guys this year. But, yeah, you see the heat map. That's impressive, isn't it? That red spot on the right side is where he tends to put the ball. When he's swinging it really well, Brownie, that red spot is out in the seats from left center to right.
Okay.
You saw what he did last year.
Well, this is going to be a hit because everybody shifted around the other way, and he just rolled it to the right of Matt Dominguez.
Yeah, so like we said, he hits everything on the ground to the right side.
Exactly.
That was just a squib job. That was not intentional right off the end of the bat. Yeah, see, on the right side, that's where he hits the ball. On the left side, never hits it there. So, it's your leadoff single. Right off the end of the bat.
Boy. That's hit number 7 for the Birds.
Analyze that.
Yeah, right.
Amazing game, huh?
J.J. Hardy, as that one gets outside, at ball 1, and he's 1 for 2. Well, yeah, you can best laid plans.
Yep, that's right.
Station those fielders, and then you get a hit like that. Now, some people would say, well, it was only a single, though, and this guy's a power hitter. So you kept him inside the ballpark. You kept the double play in order. 1 ball, 1 strike. But that doesn't feel good for the pitcher when he gives up a weakly hit ball like that and it's a hit.
I played with plenty of pitchers who would get schizo about that type of hit. Of course, maybe it didn't take that.
2-1 to Hardy. Scott Feldman trailing 3-1 gave up a 2-run homer to David Lowe in the second, a sac fly to Adam Jones in the third. Runner takes off for second. There's a swing and a foul ball.
There's your hit and run.
Yep.
And I think Hardy was taking a shot at the right side. Altuve covering.
Sure looked that way. Sometimes a right-handed batter will actually take a drop step as he tries to steer that ball through the right side.
Kind of like you hitting your driver down the right side of the fairway.
Not at all.
328 right down the right side. It's astounding.
You are a funny guy. Bouncer up the middle, and this one will get by. Diving BR. Davis to second base. Now 2 men on, nobody out for Jonathan Scope, who's 2 for 2.
Base hits have a way of finding their holes. Now you need that double play ground ball again.
Yeah, he's got 2 ground balls and has no outs.
You put that ground ball to the left a bit to short, you've got an easy double play. Part of the nature of this crazy game.
It's 8 hits now for Baltimore. Scope with a couple of those. A single, and then he rode home on the low 2-run homer in the second. Another single to center in the fourth. Colorado and Cleveland are tied 3-3, and they move to the 9th now in Cleveland. That's out to center field. Fowler coming in. That will dunk in for a hit in front of him. Stop sign at third for Davis, and the bases are loaded. Throw went through to Corcoran over Guzman, but bases loaded, nobody out now on the Scope hit that makes him 3 for 3.
Orioles mounting 9 hits now against Feldman, and yet I'll stay with my contention that Scott's throwing the ball much better in this one than he did a couple of starts back against the Angels.
Now Josh Fields is warming up in the Houston bullpen. David Lowe, the batter, started the game in left field, moved to right when Nelson Cruz left with an injury. The infielders come in as Fields throws hard. High chop over Dominguez into left field. 1-run home. Davis scoring, and it's now 4-1 as the throw comes back in from Robbie Grossman. 4 straight hits, none hit hard. This a high chopping single, and Lowe gets his 3rd RBI.
What do? You're getting the ground balls you want to get. Little looper drops in the inning. Nothing really hit sharply, but that looked like old-time baseball where somebody says, I'm going to put it on the ground the other way and just chop it beyond the infield.
Baltimore chop, eh?
I don't know, Matty Alou, who would you put in that old-time baseball? But it is a Baltimore chop.
Willie Keeler.
I always wondered, did those guys really have the abilities to do what the legends said they could do?
Matty Alou would be a very good example, though. And Harry Walker, who was an Astros manager for a while, really emphasized that style of play, and was there when Matty Alou won a batting title in Pittsburgh. When he came to Houston, tried to make everybody hit the same way with the same bat.
And it didn't work out, obviously. You can find the right guy occasionally. Matty Alou was that speedster, smallish guy who was trying to hit home runs. And Walker got a hold of him, and it all worked out beautifully.
Well, strategy worked for him. He was a little left-handed hitter who can chop the ball to the left side, beat out some infield hits. Doesn't work for everybody. No balls, 2 strikes. But Joe Morgan offered so much more than that type of offensive approach, and then once he got under the influence of the Cincinnati Reds. He absolutely exploded with home runs, doubles. He did anything but hit the ball to the left side. He was a pull hitter.
Now, did Walker try to get Joe Morgan to employ that style?
That's what I was told.
Ooh, that would have been fun to watch for a while, maybe part of a day.
No balls, 2 strikes to Hundley. Fouled away, still 0-2 with Markakis on deck.
If he could have gotten Rusty Staub to do it, I think he got something there.
How many infield hits do you think Rusty had in his career?
About 1 more than I did.
Twins lead the Yankees 7-2. They're in the middle of the 9th inning at Yankee Stadium. Upstairs for a ball. 1-2 to Hundley. That's Phil Hughes from Minnesota today. You know he's savoring this one against his former Yankee mates. Phil Hughes' ERA for the season is 3.12, Ash.
How do you explain that? They tried and tried in New York to get him to be one of the big stars on that staff. Just didn't work out.
Signed as a free agent with the Twins, and boy, is that looking like a great signing.
Sometimes a guy just doesn't figure it out until some point down the line. And maybe it's a tip that Harry Walker gives that leads to it, or Brett Strom, or whatever the case may be. But it's hard to be that patient with players.
Yeah. Astros will be in Minnesota next weekend, playing those Twins, who are currently 25-28. Fly ball deep to right field. Springer back on it and on the track and reaching out. He snags it. Now he falls. Runners tag and they move up. As the throw comes into Altuve, a run scores. Great catch by Springer. Hundley gets a sac fly. And it's now 5-1 Baltimore.
This is a great catch. And I was holding my breath. I don't know about anybody else, but when the feet slide up to that wall and go up underneath, I was concerned. I was worried about ankle, leg, something. That's just another great catch for George Springer. He had a couple on the recent road trip that were just off the charts.
Excellent play to limit the damage to 1 run and get 1 out. Now runners at second and third. The infield in for Markakis. Markakis is 1 for 3.
I think when people start talking about George Springer, they're going to start talking about the all-around player at some point down the line here.
Yes, they will.
Great power with the bat, but no, he's made a bunch of errors, and you can't really talk around that. Balls in the air that he's gone to go get, maybe without peer. In terms of right fielders right now, just exceptional.
He's a bonus right fielder with center fielder's range. Intentional walk to Markakis. And the bases are loaded with 1 out. That will allow the middle infielders to move back to double play depth. Manny Machado's the batter. He was hit by a pitch. He doubled and he grounded out.
Yeah, I watched a great right fielder in Toronto for a number of years, Jose Bautista, but he couldn't go get the ball like this.
Boy, does he have an arm.
Tremendous thrower. And I think George is capable. I think that'll come along for him. He's got the arm strength.
Machado went for it. He tried to hold back, but it's 1 ball, 1 strike. Yeah, it's been an exhibition of throwing this week for Bautista in right field in Toronto. He threw out a couple of guys at first base. Last night, Yoenis Cespedes of Oakland, playing left field, threw out a couple of guys at home plate. Pretty rare for an outfielder to do that twice in a game.
Twice in a career? You don't see that.
Some guys don't. You're right. 1-2. Red Sox 3, Rays nothing. Bottom of the 7th inning at Fenway Park. John Lester is dialing it up today. 1 walk, 12 strikeouts in his 7 innings. Eric Bedard started for the Rays. This will be the 100th pitch of the game, or the 104th pitch of the game. Bangs it off his foot. So the Astros have had Josh Fields warming up in the pen. And Machado will walk that one off as he banged it off his leg. Josh still out there now, ready to go if needed. Bedard gave up 3 earned runs in 4 2/3 today for the Rays. Boston has really awakened now after that long losing streak. Maybe the extracurricular activities with Tampa Bay have brought out the best in the Red Sox. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
It tends to bring a team together at times in purpose. We are one, we are family, whatever it turns into.
We are Sox.
They are Sox, and they are world champions too, until unseated.
They're going for their 7th straight win.
After losing 9.
Deep drive left field, looking like a grand slam, and there it is for Manny Machado. A grand slam for Machado, the second by an Oriole this season. Really opens it wide. Machado hits home run number 3 for the season. That gives him 9 runs batted in. And it's a 6-run inning and a 9-1 lead. It's only the 5th home run given up by Feldman.
Well, all the base hits lead up to this moment. And that's the big swing right on the money. It's a very fine young player the Orioles have as their 3rd baseman. Going to make the defensive plays with the bat. Again, he led the league in doubles a year ago.
It's 9-1 as Feldman comes out and Fields is on his way in. Baltimore leading in the 6th. Back in a moment. To you by AT&T Uverse TV. Check availability at 1-800-PICK-ATT. Rethink possible. And by your local Toyota dealer. Your chance to save on a Toyota Tundra ends tomorrow. Hurry to buyatoyota.com. 9-1 now. The Orioles have blown it open here in the 6th inning with 6 runs scoring. Here's Delman Young and here's Josh Fields just in the game. Astros have just allowed the first grand slam this season. And the Orioles have just hit their 2nd. Feldman went 5 1/3 innings. He allowed 11 hits and 9 runs, walking 1, hitting 2 batters, fanning 3. It's 1 ball, 1 strike with 1 out in the inning, and Fields has really put together a nice string of games. His ERA 7.20 has come down quite a bit from where it was since his recall 8 scoreless innings for Fields. In the air, and the right fielder Springer moves in. 2 down.
The only out in the inning up to that point was the great play by Springer.
9-11-0 for the Birds, 1-3-0 for the Astros. And now Baltimore bats around in the inning. The number 9 hitter, Adam Jones, in this frame is 0 for 2 with a sac fly. Fields got a couple of scoreless innings Friday night and picked up the win in that civil rights game 2-1. He came in with the Astros trailing 1-0 after Brett Overholzer worked. Let's see. He pitched Thursday night. Let's make it Thursday night. Came in the 7th inning after Brad Peacock had started. And it was a 1-1 game at that point. This fly ball out into shallow center field. Dexter Fowler in for the running catch, and that ends it. So in the 6th, it's an explosive frame. The Birds get 6. They lead at 9-1.
To 1 as we head to the bottom of the 6th here at Minute Maid Park. And as promised earlier in the game, we have the AT&T fan photo of the game. It's from Diane Gallagher. Look at this cutie. 5 days old. Already an Astros fan. I like it. Thanks for tweeting us, and make sure to tweet your photo to hashtag CSNHFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown in a broadcast. It's brought to you by AT&T, guys.
Thanks, Julia. 9-1. Wei-Yin Chen now bearing down for win number 6 of the season, having been handed all this offensive support with the 6-run 6th inning by his Baltimore mates. They'll face Springer, Fowler, and Dominguez in the Astros 6th. They try to hit their way back into this one. Springer doubled and scored the Astros run in the 4th inning. He hit the ball over David Lowe's head in right field after striking out in the 1st.
Leave it to Julia to find the Astros binky. I don't know what they call those these days, but the little
security blankets.
No, the thing that the baby sucks on.
Oh, that thing.
They used to be binkies.
Yeah.
I don't know if they are anymore. Nice scouting, Julia.
How about the security blankets that kids have? You think all kids have security blankets?
Oh, I'm sure they do. Yeah.
1 ball, 1 strike. Our daughter had one, and it was tattered and ragged, and we had to have a friend get rid of it.
What did she call it?
Blanky, I think.
Yeah, I think my kids had bankies.
Bankies, yeah. Consonants can be tough at a young age.
Yeah.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
So at some latter ages. That strikes far too early, by the way.
Rangers 2, Washington nothing. They're in the middle of the 8th. Bouncer third, Machado. Whoops, he falls, and Springer will get a hit on that. Looked like they just went down the infield.
Well, that was Manny Machado playing very deep and had to back up with that in-between hop, and all adds up to a knock. Take every one you can get. If you can come up with an infield single when you hit it to Manny Machado, you've done something.
Takes an act of nature to get an infield hit on him. And Springer's now 2 for 3. Dexter Fowler has struck out twice. Fouls it back, strike one. In that Ranger National game, it's Yu Darvish dialing up a beauty. 7 innings of 5-hit shutout baseball against the Nats. Walking 2, fanning 11. His ERA right now is 2.11. And Leonis Martin hit his 3rd home run for the Rangers, who are playing 500 ball. 1 ball and 1 strike. Bo Porter's club 2-1 on this homestand so far. We'll be welcoming the Angels. Bo will drop by a little bit on the day the Astros have planned tomorrow for some of the prospects to come in and work out. The scouting day, you might call it. 2-1. I read somewhere a few days ago that Tyler Kolek has been invited by Jeff Luhnow to come to Minute Maid Park just for a chat, not for a workout tomorrow. Astros try to get to know these potential #1 overall picks as well as they can before that draft Thursday night. Two balls, 2 strikes. Well, it's a big part of it. The character issue, the background, upbringing.
What kind of drive and motivation does the young man have?
Yes. And you know, there are a lot of conversations with representatives of these players too. They're not allowed to have agents until they sign, but they can be advised by people who are agents. Still 2-2. Mets 2, Phillies 2, bottom of the 9th in Philadelphia. Jonathan Neese had a nice game, 8 innings, 2 runs for the Mets. Cole Hamels in 7 innings allowed 1 earned run for the Phillies. Ryan Howard hit his 11th. Foul back. Howard, let's see, he drove in RBI number 1,000 last night, Ash. He's the quickest in terms of games played to reach 1,000 runs batted in.
Got some huge years.
Yeah.
He was, along with Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins, the heartbeat of that Philadelphia club. But that heartbeat's getting a little aging at this point.
It's a little faint, isn't it?
Yeah. Although, as you say, still good numbers there for Howard in terms of the home run ball.
It is not true that the Phillies are residing in nursing homes on their road trips this year.
Well, I was about to tie a pacemaker to what I was saying, but I thought that might be a little harsh.
That can happen at any age.
I'm sure some of the Philly fans feel that way, though.
Yeah, that's true. Paul Clemens warming up. Well, that's an old club. And, you know, if you're Ruben Amaro Jr., maybe I can squeeze one more year out of these old geezers.
That's kind of what you think.
Fowler's down on strikes. That's 3 of those for him today.
That's why it's so important to keep getting better or staying just as good. But I would always say getting better while you get younger at some position or another each year.
Right. Now Buck Showalter's coming out. 97 pitches for Chen. He's tied his strikeout high in a game this year with number 6. He has a career high of 12. And that's all that he's going to be asked to do today. He goes 5 1/3, but with this big lead, Showalter will get him out right now and go to his bullpen. And we'll be back with a score: Baltimore 9, Houston 1.
OKC. Come up next from AAA OKC, the Jackson Pope tweeted, John Singleton, the pop he will bring to the lineup, will form a dynamic duo with Springer. Texan fan 2785 tweeted, we're all wanting Singleton to come up next, but I want Folty to come up and help bolster our bullpen even more. Thank you very much for tweeting me, Hope Chen, CSN, guys.
Well, Howard, that is the display of peak, a fit of peak for Wei-Yin Chen. Really unhappy as he comes out of this game, so he gives vent to that emotion. But he still can be a 6-game winner by the end of today. Howard had an interview with him. We'll get more on that in a moment.
Great sight to see the pitching coach turn and walk away. Maybe not a good time to chat right now.
Matt Dominguez faces Brad Brock, and the right-hander coming in throws strike one. Brock is 28 years old. He's from Freehold, New Jersey. Pitching for the first time in this series. He went to Monmouth University. He is the all-time win and strikeout leader at Monmouth. 42nd round draft choice in 08. Domingo takes it, and it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Brad Brock, who came up with the San Diego Padres in 2011 and pitched for them for 3 years in 7 games, has a 4.76 ERA for Baltimore. 1-2. It was the battle of the Chens as Howard interviewed Wei-Yin Chen. So we'll get more on that after Dominguez bats.
I noticed you listening closely to a little earlier played version we heard.
That Mandarin has a certain rhythm to it. It's very appealing. Dominguez strikes out, and we'll get a little bit more of a flavor of it right now.
所以你觉得就是有没有我知道你已经出国很久，到日本啊，现在已经来美国了，那你还会想家吗？因为你家还在台湾。
想家其实因为我国中就开始住宿舍了，所以跟家里就是相处的时间比较少了，所以就变成是想家其实多少会啦，那只是说因为出国蛮久了，所以就觉得就是还蛮喜欢国外的生活这样子，那觉得就是有时候。可能就会跟家里通通电话这样子，对啊，那觉得就是年底休息时间蛮长的，然后也会回家，然后让爸爸妈妈知道就是自己就是健康这样子。
那吃的呢
Was that nuclear physics?
Sounded like it could have been. I was what I thought I got out of that was he's not feeling his very best coming in, but he's anticipating a big offensive blowout.
Well, guys, I can translate for you. I was basically asking him if he's kind of adjusted to life in the U.S., and he's been out of Taiwan for a while. He's been in Japan, he's been in the States, and he was basically saying that, yeah, he misses his family, but at the same time he's kind of become accustomed to the life in the U.S., and he kind of likes being independent and out here.
Now, Howard, you grew up in Houston, right?
Yes.
So did you ever imagine when you were 10 or 11 years old that you'd be doing this?
It was always my dream. So now that I'm sitting here and talking to you, I'm living out my dream right now.
The line shot caught by Lowe in right field, and Carter hit it well, but it's out, number 3. No runs, a hit, and a man left. We go to the 7th inning, and it's 9-1 Orioles.
Paul Clemens, the new pitcher on the mound, and before the guys in the booth explain a little bit more about him, talked to him today. He was recalled for the 3rd time this young season. Says he just has to go about his business the same way every day. It does not matter which uniform he's wearing. It's been kind of a roller coaster season for him. But he said it's helped him be stronger mentally. He's much more aware of how this game works. He can't get caught up in the emotions, and it sounds like it's another level of maturity for this guy. And the last stint that he was in Oklahoma City lasted about 2 weeks. 10 days of that was on the road, Brownie, and the last couple of days were in Oklahoma City, and he spent the night on John Singleton's couch, the first base prospect.
Oh.
It's a good friend.
Yeah, because he gives up his housing in Oklahoma City, comes to Houston, he goes back, he doesn't have any housing. Yeah. Very much a day-to-day existence. Alex Presley has come in to play some center field in this 9-1 ball game for Dexter Fowler. Fowler was 0 for 3. Marwin Gonzalez checks in at second base for Jose Altuve. Altuve was 1 for 3. And the pitcher is Paul Clemens, as Julia told us. Chris Davis fouls it for strike 1. Davis with that little bleeder on the ground, a single, started the 6-run rally in the 6th inning. He's 1 for 3 and has scored a run. The shift is on again. He couldn't do that 2 times in a row, could he?
Let's see, it's still baseball, right?
Yes, it is.
I would say that anything becomes possible then.
Right about that. 1 ball, 1 strike. Josh Fields in 2/3 of an inning, allowed no hits, no runs, had no walks, no strikeouts. Clemens, pitcher number 3 for the Astros. Just recalled today, as Julia mentioned, from Oklahoma City. 1 and 2. 3rd stint on the Major League roster this year. He was here from April 12th through May 2nd and May 9th through May 16th.
That's a tough grind. You're living in somebody else's place. You're in your car. You don't even know what is home, even if you get a chance to settle in for a few days in Houston, for example.
Davis down on strikes. Well, we were talking with Bob Kendrick at the Negro Leagues Museum in Kansas City a couple of nights ago at the Civil Rights game. He told us about those African American players in the Negro Leagues who went around in old buses and they ate on the bus because they weren't allowed to go in restaurants. And I think they sometimes did a lot of sleeping on the buses.
Those had to be miserable days, and I don't know how those guys do it, but the minor leagues, at least once upon a time, and I don't imagine they're quite the same these days, there were some similarities. Now, I don't want to go any further than just a little bit of similarities because you were not shunned when you went to this place or that. But in terms of eating on the bus and finding a place to sleep under the seat so you could lay down or up in the luggage rack, that's what it was all about.
J.J. Hardy grounds out to Matt Dominguez, 2 down. Hardy's now 2 for 4, and Jonathan Scope follows. He's 3 for 3. Bob Watson told the story. He was part of the luncheon before the Civil Rights game for the Beacon Awards. He was in Salisbury, North Carolina. The Player of the Week, I believe it was, for that minor league club, got a Salisbury steak. And so
that would have been big, too.
Yeah. That's right. Very big. They strike 1. So he went to pick up a Salisbury steak at this restaurant, and they wouldn't let him have it, not even through the back door.
Wow. Oh, dear.
So today's player hears that and says, okay, let's see. I have to leave Oklahoma City, get on an airplane, go to Houston. Maybe it's not that tough.
Yeah, you have to keep it in perspective, don't you?
It certainly works for a lot of people to do that. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Milwaukee 9, the Cubs nothing at the end of 8 in Milwaukee. Jeff Samardzija started for the Cubs. He had a fantastic ERA until this game, and it just blew up his ERA. He gave up 8 earned runs in 3 innings. Kyle Loesch, meanwhile, has a 3-hit shutout through 8.
I talked to Scott Feldman about things with the 9 earnings today and the ERA now at 4.25.
And it started at 3.02. So
yeah,
that one start can really do it this early in the season. effect, so much so that it takes weeks to recover from a game like that, right?
I think for pitchers, you almost have to keep your head out of the stats. The recovery is so long. And while you're doing well, I mean, everything's rosy, but that day's coming. Tax day tends to come around every year.
Oh, no, not again.
Well,
we just had it.
You've had your day.
It's coming again?
Just enjoy. It's all vacation time now.
Presley over in left center field. Grossman's going for it, and Presley wants it. For out number 3. God Bless America comes your way from Minute Maid Park on this Sunday. It's 9-1 Baltimore.
Gentlemen, we invite you to please stand and join us as we pause to honor America and those that defend our freedom around the world each and every day. Once again, please welcome back Jim Sikorsky for the singing of God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet
And we step aside for the AT&T Rewind, and here is that AT&T Rewind as we look at scenes from May. George Springer had a marvelous month of May, Ash.
Did he ever? And he woke up the ball club in numerous ways. Jose Altuve was a big part of that as well, and just continues to play great baseball, leading the major leagues in hits, leading the league in stolen bases. Dexter Fowler is an on-base machine, and he did it with a lot of walks. He swung the bat well from both sides of the plate. These guys have done a terrific job. And then, of course, the pitching side for the club, brilliant. But Jose Altuve, what a month he has thrown together. Look at this play defensively by George Springer. Exceptional. Not many guys can make this kind of play. George Springer's starting to make them now. We've seen 3 in the last week and a half. Yeah, there's a lot to enjoy and look up to on this club. Watch George make his throw. This is why I think he's capable of becoming a really good throwing outfielder. And another catch today. Just great stuff. And thank goodness no injury involved on that play.
Now the Astros bat against Brad Brock. Jesus Guzman taking ball 1 here in the home 7th inning. Guzman is grounded out and he's walked. Altuve has been taken out of the game. Guzman trying to get something started here with the Astros trailing by 8 against Brock. And it's a 1-1 strike count as 2 former San Diego Padres square off against each other. Angels nothing, Athletics nothing. They have played 2 in Oakland. Mike Trout is not in the lineup today. Stiff back. Makes it 1-2.
Well, I hate to wish anybody a sore back of any kind, but usually you should be able to sit out about 3 or 4 days when you've got something like that bothering you, right?
Especially if you're coming to Houston next. Yeah. That might be prudent for him to do that.
Take care of that thing. It's a long season.
Cal Ripken wouldn't do it.
Nope. He'd find a good reason to say, I'm in there.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Jesus Guzman. Let's see. Tuesday night. We're back on the air, Ash. Astros pregame live at 6:30. Astros and Angels at 7 o'clock. Colin McHugh and C.J. Wilson Tuesday night.
Tomorrow's a holiday, right?
It is a holiday for us.
Every off day should be a holiday.
Yeah. That's a hit through the left side for Guzman. Hit number 5 for the Astros. He's aboard for Robbie Grossman, who's 0 for 2.
There's some pretty good swings in that at bat from Guzman. And eventually blasts one through the left side.
Robbie Grossman will try to advance him. Wednesday night at 7:10, it's Jared Cozart and Garrett Richards. This ball 1. Thursday night, a 6:10 start, an hour earlier than normal for a weeknight. Brad Peacock and Tyler Skaggs. And the Astros head for Minneapolis-St. Paul. They'll play 3 games next weekend against the Twins and then move on to Arizona for 2. There's a line shot deep to right field. David Lowe back. That one rattles off the wall. Grossman into second as Lowe picks it up. Guzman into third on the double by Grossman. His 3rd.
Well, may I just say, with this 9-1 game, that might be free up your swing time, and Robbie Grossman, in my estimation, can use that. That's the kind of swing we saw late last year when Robbie had so much success. Talked about the first pitch swinging or lack thereof for Robbie this year, and though this is not a first pitch, that's the kind of swing you want to see early in counts.
Cy-Fair High School product. It's a rocket off the right field wall. Now 2nd and 3rd, nobody out for Carlos Corcoran. He's 0 for 2. In the dirt, and there's ball 1. The Astros with an unusual 5-game road trip coming up to Minnesota and Arizona. It's interesting that you go into interleague play with Arizona. You play 2 games there, and then you come here for 2 games against Arizona, Ash.
Yeah, we did that last year with Colorado. They came in here for 2. The Astros headed into Denver, started that 6-game winning streak with that one.
That's a drive to right field. The runner's tagging. Here's the catch by Lowe. Lowe throws to the plate. Guzman coming home. It's cut off, and it's 9-2. Sac fly by Corcoran. That's RBI number 9 for Carlos.
I'm not so sure this ball couldn't have been cut and relayed to the plate for an out.
Might have been.
Davis didn't even turn and glance toward the plate. I don't imagine the Orioles are deeply upset, other than Brock, who sees it tag onto his ERA. See what it looks like from this angle. Not an overly deep fly ball, but nonetheless deep enough to generally score right there.
Yeah.
Turn and throw to the plate. For me, maybe an out.
Maybe so. You're right, though. They do not appear to be deeply troubled. Jonathan Villar's 0 for 2. Fouls it back. There's strike 1 to Jonathan Villar.
Is that one of the unwritten rules that you don't turn and get an out at the plate when you have a large lead?
I think that is, yes.
If we can get the managers to agree how large that lead needs to be.
Well, they never will agree on that. But it's 7 runs in the 7th inning.
You just said they would never agree.
That rule of 7. That's the rule we're
that's
going
the one,
by.
Okay.
Ash, yeah.
All right. I can live with that. Even though I do not like the unwritten rules.
So we'll just say arbitrarily that if it's a 7-run lead in the 7th inning, the Orioles are not allowed to steal bases.
Well, you can't relay a cut throw. You just shouldn't be able to try.
Cal Ripken warned us not to go out there defensively.
Never.
And just dial it back a little bit to get through the rest of the game.
Be aware of what's going on around you. I was, but that fastball still got me in the ribs. I saw it coming.
Preston Gilmet is warming up for the Orioles. Main thing for you to be aware of, Ash, is the construction on 290 going home.
Amen. You taking that home?
Nope. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I used your advice last night. It was rather smooth, and I have to say on the right in this morning.
Anything has to be smoother than 290.
That could be years.
It's going to be a long-term project. The folks at TxDOT will be well occupied for many months to come. VR strikes out. 2 outs.
Create memories, have fun, and enjoy a premium experience with an Astros luxury suite at Minute Maid Park. Whether you're treating your employees, hosting clients, or celebrating a special occasion, we will create an experience your group is sure to remember. Call the Astros Premium Ticket Line at 1-877-9-ASTROS and reserve your luxury suite today.
That looks like luxury there.
Just keep the food coming.
Marwin Gonzalez is up for the first time, playing second for Jose Altuve now. He started at shortstop yesterday and he was 1 for 3. There's strike 1. His batting average has worked up into a very favorable situation of 302 right now. 1 homer, 3 runs batted in.
Super sub.
Yeah.
He's been so good he's gotten a little moniker, Margot.
Who gave him that moniker?
I'm not sure where that came from. I think we all kind of were feeling it at the same time. I don't know that credit is due.
I think you and Blummer have been putting your heads together on the road trip.
Could have come there, but
what about a nickname for Mr. Springer?
You know, we had one for Jonathan VR last year when he was dealing it, first coming to the big leagues. He was V6.
Yeah.
He had a number of other names. I think you were in favor of Johnny Baseball, but I went with V6 myself.
Well, now he's changed to number 2 on his uniform.
So we can't do the V6 anymore. That's completely gone.
Nobody wants a V2.
No, unless it's a lawnmower, and maybe not one of the best. The 2-stroke, they make a lot of noise.
Trolling motor.
Ooh, 2-stroke. Yeah, if we can get that stroke together, 2-stroke might work.
2 balls and a strike. Well, I think somebody was suggesting a nickname for George Springer the other day of the Eagle.
Because of his performance in an Eagles uniform?
That was it. But this was before the game, though, so how did they know? 3 balls and a strike.
Well, you know, when it comes to George Springer, I think you can kind of anticipate sometimes.
You know what, though? Looking back, he was 0 for 4 as an Eagle.
That wasn't. We can't do that.
No.
Not acceptable.
Was it? Who was that skier? Eddie the Eagle.
Eddie the Eagle. That was the Olympics way back in whatever year that was.
Yeah. Ski jumper, right?
Yep.
Marwin takes a walk. Margot's on first. And here's the spring-loaded George Springer. He is 2 for 3 in this game.
Did Eddie the Eagle ever actually land a jump? Or was he just the favorite child because you rooted for him to land one?
The Eagle didn't land. Springer takes ball 1. Have you seen those? You watch those National Geographic shows, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know those birds that can't land? Have you ever seen those?
Yeah, I have seen that.
They come to a crash.
Yes.
What are those? Goonie birds? What are they called?
That might be the name.
They just kind of bounce. They don't use their legs at all.
Yeah,
kind of a belly landing.
You know what? I've learned from hanging around sports in recent years that you've got to have your legs under you. And the Goonie birds are not listening.
You know, Ash, when you're hitting, you have to have your legs underneath you. Otherwise, you're standing on your head.
You know, other than when laying in bed, I have found that I generally have that to be true, but it still athletically is not working.
Dave Wallace visited the mound. Red Rock has runners at first and second.
Slow it down and have your legs under you. That sounds like golf to me.
He came to see a Springer dinger. There have been 10 of those at the major league level this year. 1-1. Like fun for a rookie to come to the big leagues and make a big splash like that.
You know what's fun is, or what has proved to be fun in this instance, is being a part of watching what he's not only done individually, but what he's done to this club.
1-2. A lot more energy around the club.
Yeah, it's really been night and day over the past month to watch the swing, the emotion, the impact he's having on this team.
Lays off, and it's 2-2. What do veterans watch for in a rookie?
That's a really good question. We had a true veteran in here a little while ago, Cal Ripken, who probably could have given a brilliant answer. But I think they look for a number of things. It depends on who that rookie is. Is he the guy that is supposed to come on and be the next big thing?
Struck him out. That's the 7th inning. 1 run scoring on 2 hits, 2 men left, and it's 9-2 Orioles. For a series with Springer and the Astros. Pre-game live starts Tuesday at 6:30 only on Comcast Sportsnet. And let's look at all 3 games of that series. It's C.J. Wilson and Colin McHugh, Garrett Richards and Jared Cozart, and Tyler Skaggs faces off against Brad Peacock.
Those Angels have got much more out of their pitching staff than I think anybody thought going into this season.
I have to agree with you. We're going to look up some numbers on them.
They're impressive when you consider that was considered to be the weak link for the Angels.
Yes, it was. David Lowe hits this one foul, and they strike one. Lowe's had quite a day of it. 2-run homer and an RBI single. 3 runs batted in for Lowe. Yeah, Richards, even though he got torched in his last start, has been a good addition to their rotation. He has been in and out of that rotation in the past. The Angels are 3rd in runs scored right now. And they are 5th in ERA.
3.86 that team ERA. And you consider Chicago White Sox are now at the bottom of the heap, 4.47. That's a long slide between those 2 numbers.
That's a liner up the right field line, and that one is in the seats. 1-2. The starting pitchers of the Angels have the 2nd lowest ERA in the American League, 3.62. But it's not close, with number 1 Oakland being far better at 2.98. Oakland starters 23 and 12.
Top teams pitching wise: Oakland, Seattle, Boston, and New York.
Okay. Corcoran held it for a foul tip strikeout, and Lowe is retired, 1 out. Second strikeout for Clemens.
Clemens talked with Julia about how maybe this up and down thing has helped him grow and be more emotionally mature or strong. I don't know how that all factors in, how you see that on the field exactly in a couple of innings like this, but he's corralling his stuff quite well.
Nick Conley's 0 for 2 with a sac fly. You were talking about what a veteran looks for in a rookie. And what about clubhouse demeanor after a tough loss or something like that?
Guys will no doubt watch, and I know you're keenly aware of this, but if a rookie comes in at the wrong time after a loss, and that's always the wrong time, smiling because he got a couple of hits, or not appreciating struggles of a teammate, it'll be noticed and it will be long remembered. And players have had a tough time getting over those early impressions. If you come in and just kind of keep your head down, keep your voice low, and grind real hard and let your teammates see that, they will also remember that, and you'll be thought of highly.
VR to his right, throwing on the run, gets it there to Guzman accurately for out number 2.
Well, that was nice. A nice execution of would-be communication between two players. Just simply Matt Dominguez realizing this was going to be a tough play for him and allowing his shortstop, who has that gift going to his right, to make the play. I don't know that anything was said there. I don't know that it needs to be said. That's a feel.
Two down, and now it's Markakis. He has a single and a walk. Clemens delivers ball 1. John Lester went to 6-6 as the Red Sox shut out the Rays 4-0, beating Eric Bedard. One ball, one strike. Rays will be here on the Astros' next homestand after they go to Minnesota and Arizona. Then Arizona's here for 2, and Tampa Bay will follow. And that will be a 3-game series with the Rays here, June 13th through the 15th. Later on in the month of June, Atlanta's here, Detroit, and Seattle. Brad Ausmus returns with the Tigers as their skipper, June 27th through the 29th to Minute Maid Park.
I think he's fit in real nicely as the skip. A guy who is not managed in the minor leagues, but obviously knows the game, and from that catcher's position knows more than just one part of the game. And I got the impression in Detroit when the Astros went in that there was total respect for Brad and what he was doing.
2-2.
Not only from the players, but maybe more importantly from the coaches that were assembled around him.
You know, that's a very good point from somebody who's never managed before at any level. What is the respect from the coaches with their work ethic? Because they're wondering what kind of leadership they're going to be getting. That's strikeout number 3, and that is 6 in a row for Clemens. 9-2 Orioles. The Astros, bottom of the 8th inning is coming here at Minute Maid Park in Houston. Game 4 of a 4-game series. And Sports Talk Live is coming up, Ash, tomorrow, Monday through Friday. Kevin Eschenfelder has had an entire weekend off to plan a blockbuster series of shows. He picks it up tomorrow at 5 o'clock.
You can't slip one by Kevin, that's for sure. Not even that young man. Angelic face. You're going to get grilled.
Fans are watching as pitcher number 3, Preston Guillemette, warms up for the Orioles. Brad Brock went an inning and 2/3. He gave up 2 hits and 1 run. Walking 1, fanning 3. Guillemette 0-1. His ERA is 2.57.
Left-hand hitter still looking for their first knock against him over 7 innings. Find a way to take care of that one.
Mr. Alex Presley would love to accommodate you. He'll be the first man up here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Presley at 243 has 3 homers, 8 runs batted in for Alex. He took over in this number 3 spot in the order and in center field for Dexter Fowler. And the score was 9-1. And a line drive to right field. David Lowe over to play it. A hit for Presley. Well,
I knew I could
up a hit to a left-handed hitter.
I knew I could make that happen with just one little comment, Browning.
You wished it on him. The power of the booth takes over.
Master of the jinx.
Presley aboard, and Matt Dominguez is next. He's 0 for 3. Giants are really going after the Cardinals. It's 8-0 Giants at the end of 8 in St. Louis. Tim Hudson went the first 7. That's ball 1. Hudson's ERA right now, Ash, is 1.75.
He's small, he's old, he's great.
That's a combination. Fly ball deep left field. Domingo in the home run trot. That is a 2-run shot for Matt Dominguez, number 8. And the Astros now trail 9-4 as Matt goes deep to extend his hitting streak to 7 games.
Matt Dominguez, he's such an intriguing player for me because he does have a lot of power. He does look like he gets hitting. And yet, like anybody else, going to have his struggles. He's slow of foot, excellent defensive third baseman. He's got most of the tools to become a genuine force as a major league third baseman.
8 home runs, 24 runs batted in for Matt Dominguez. There's strike 1 to Chris Carter. Carter 1 for 3 with an RBI. So he's tied Carter for second on the club in long balls behind George Springer's 10. And the 24 runs batted in for Matt puts him right behind Jason Castro for second place on the club.
We need to get Julia to find out what's going on in the dugout. No dancing on a Matt Dominguez home run.
Okay. What's the deal there?
I don't know. It might be a no dance Sunday. I'm not sure.
Maybe he's put out a no dance edict.
Could be.
For his home runs.
Could be.
17,022 to paid attendance, by the way, today. Does the home run hitter get to determine the demeanor of his teammates on the bench?
Well, I think he should. I think he gets to be the guy that sets the tone for the moment. But feel free to follow me up with a home run and set another tone.
So is it act like you've not danced before?
Well, yeah. Not danced before in the dugout. There's a lot of us who fit in that category. Fallen down, slipped on something, sure, but not danced.
Now, you guys really didn't have specialized handshakes back in your day.
No, that was not the big thing. I don't know.
What did you do?
You know, I remember just the high five thing. I remember trying to make a little something happen just with a friend of mine, Buddy Bell. Kind of a pinky tap with each other, but it never caught on.
Flying bat on the strikeout of Carter. That's out number 1.
It's more of a pinky rap, I guess. But
okay.
Just didn't seem to be much appeal for it. pretty good toss. He's going to be among the finalists.
Nelson Cruz left the game with a left-hand contusion. The X-rays were negative, and he's day-to-day. Jesus Guzman 1 for 2 with a walk. Big strike one. Shouldn't X-rays be positive if there was no broken bone?
Really seems that way, doesn't it? I'm sorry, sir. Your X-ray is negative. Family gathers to mourn.
No balls, 2 strikes. The A's broke out with 4 in the third off Jared Weaver. Lead 4-0. Strike 3 makes it out number 2. And Robbie Grossman comes up. He's 1 for 3, a double to right field.
I think you've been hanging around Stephen Wright too.
Oh yeah. Larry Anderson made a living out of that, didn't he?
He was a full-blown plagiarist.
We'll see you, Andy, in August this year. The Astros go to Philadelphia.
He is among the best.
You know, Charlie Kerfowl was here today. Did you see him?
I saw him yesterday. I didn't get to chat long, and I was hoping to see him today.
It'd be fun if you could get the old gang back together again. Delman Young over with the catch, and the Astros get 2 runs on 2 hits. Domingo goes deep, 9-4 Orioles.
And remember, if you come out to the ballpark, every Thursday home game is Dollar Dog Night. The next Dollar Dog Night would be this Thursday against the Angels. Don't forget. We're taking a look at the Houston Astros upcoming schedule. And I talked about Dollar Dog Night on Thursday. That's right. They're home for 3. They played the Angels before hitting the road again. They'll have 3 in Minnesota against the Twins. Then they head to Phoenix, where they'll face the Diamondbacks. Then they come home for 2 against the Diamondbacks, and Tampa Bay will follow that up. I haven't been to Arizona's ballpark. So this will be a first time. And they have a couple of treats there that I might be trying.
Oh.
Take a look at these.
Look at those.
There's the D-Bat, I believe. Okay. I need to do a little more research on these things. It's stuffed corn dog. Yeah, it's got bacon, cheese, jalapenos. Yeah, some calories. And then this is the Venom Dog. I'm not real sure what's on this one yet either, but wow.
Venom Dog.
Okay.
For the Diamondbacks. Huh?
I know one of them's 18 inches. These are not your normal size dogs, but if you viewers out there want to help me pick one, tweet at me and let me know which one I should try.
Oh, I see the one.
Darren Downs in the game. Manny Machado puts it out of play. Hey, Julia, we were looking at that graphic of the schedule with those 4 Arizona games, those 4 Arizona logos. Downs with no decisions, an ERA of 2.16, taking over after Paul Clemens had 2 perfect innings with 3 strikeouts. And Machado had the big grand slam. He also has a double, and he's been hit by a pitch, 1-1. That snake logo on the Diamondbacks, the snake putting itself into a D configuration. That's kind of a venomous look coming up in those 4 games for the Astros. Look at that. That logo, Ash.
Yeah, that's frightening. You don't want to face those guys.
Julia, you're going into the snake's den there.
The snake pit.
Yeah, and you'll find, I think, Ash might disagree, when you get in that ballpark. What's the name of it now? Chase Field?
Yeah, it's not the Bob anymore.
Okay, it's not the Bank One ballpark, no. That you kind of remind yourself that you're in an airplane hangar, maybe?
Really?
A little bit that way.
Yeah.
You've never. Brownie's been there plenty. Montreal with the dome there, and you could kind of. There were so few fans. You could kind of hear the air conditioning, that warehouse effect.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get that feel in Arizona a little bit. Although it's a nice ballpark.
It is a nice ballpark. I'm going to ask Julia about ballparks here. But first, Machado strikes out for out number 1. Julia, of all the ballparks you've ever heard about that you're not going to be able to visit, which one would you have liked to visit the most?
Ooh, that's a good question. All right, I have to think, because we're going to see the NL East. Citi Field was one of them that was on my list, but I'll get to see that in September.
Yeah.
Ooh, I want Miami. I want to go to
yeah.
Miami. I want to see that one.
Yeah, Ash loves that ballpark in Miami.
I gotta see it in person.
He talks about it all the time.
Right.
He really does.
It's so colorful on TV.
It is colorful.
I want to see it.
Yeah, it's colorful. All right.
It is colorful. It's a pitcher's ballpark. If you're a pitcher, that's your haven.
Yeah.
That is a place to pitch. Unless you're facing Giancarlo Stanton.
What year are we due to be going down there? About 2019, Ash?
I haven't looked at the schedules that far ahead, but for all hitters, it can't be far enough down the road.
Julia, when you get there, because you'll be the only one of us living, go to the bobblehead museum they have there.
Oh, I've heard about that. That sounds great.
2 balls and a strike.
Only the great bobbleheads are a part of that Hall of Fame?
Well, they'll take anything. Gonzalez.
Well, that doesn't sound like much of a museum.
No.
That sounds like a warehouse.
That's out number 2. Ash, of all the ballparks you have been in, which one did you find the most charming?
Most charming?
That you
Well, that's an intriguing word to use with it.
Well, you can insert your own word, but the one that you would like to see again, but it's not around anymore.
Oh. Well, you know what? I had the privilege of going to Old Yankee Stadium before the refurbishment, 1973.
Okay.
And that was intriguing with the monuments in center field on the field of play.
Yeah.
That was pretty darn cool.
Yeah, it was.
You know what? I played my first start in Detroit's Tiger Stadium. Unique.
That's the one.
To the max.
Yeah.
And we'll never see the likes of that kind of stadium again.
No. And Julia, it's too bad that we couldn't be eating jujubes up in the booth there, because it was about 20 feet above. Well, that's what we do before games. But
jujubes. I haven't seen a single one this year.
No.
Me either, Brownie.
Bring them in.
Those are Mike and Ike's.
Yeah. Okay. Those things, like we do up here in the booth. And we were about, 20 feet above the catcher's head in that booth in Detroit.
Oh,
Man,
wow.
foul balls could come back, Julia. You would not have believed. You know where the screen is? Right here at Minute Maid Park. Come back about another 15 feet and you got that booth.
VR with the throw-off line, unable to prevent Jones from reaching on an infield hit. Good try by Jonathan VR.
That's a very fine play. He's been tested in that hole today. And 15 feet may not be far enough. What would you say? 25 feet behind that screen is where that booth resided?
Not very far, yeah.
I mean, it was a true challenge, as was this play. Look at that throwing position. That is amazing.
It is.
Because he was going so hard to his right, he couldn't even turn the body back. That is a gifted, very talented guy at shortstop.
To be able to get enough on that throw.
You see, that's our look from this booth, and we're safe, generally speaking.
Yeah.
But in old Tiger Stadium, I think they had to tear it down because of the broadcasters that got taken down with foul balls.
Well, they almost got sent to the hospital. There's ball one. But those foul balls had come screaming through there, Julia. And I don't know how many near deaths there were in the broadcast booth, but there had to have been at least 50.
This is a nightmare.
And so if we had been able to take you up there, we would have said, look behind your head.
Full gear. You had to be in full catcher's gear.
Yeah. See all the ball marks on the wall behind where you sit. Bouncer to Guzman for out number 3. No runs on one hit, and we go to the bottom of the 9th inning, and it's 9-4 Orioles. Is brought to you by AT&T, mobilizing your world. Warm day outside, the roof and the air conditioning protecting everybody, making everybody very comfortable inside. But the Orioles are much more comfortable on the field with their 6-run 6th innings, taking them to a 9-1 lead. Then the Astros got 1 in the 7th, 2 in the 8th on a Matt Dominguez homer. Now lefty Brian Mattis takes over for the 9th. And in 24 games, he's 1-1 with a 3.44 ERA.
Right-hand hitters still hitting 300 against Mattis. He's a guy that was once upon a time supposed to be a big man of the future in the starting rotation for the Orioles. It didn't work out, but now it's working out in the bullpen. And that's one thing you always have to keep in mind. Some guys will come up and fail early on, but you might find a slot later on that works well.
He was the 4th player drafted in the 08 draft, now 27 years old, from the University of San Diego. Brian Mattis works 2. Carlos Corporon leading it off in the home 9th inning. Carlos 0 for 2 with a sac fly. New strike 1. Preston Gilmet in 1 inning allowed 2 hits, 2 runs, no walks, and 2 strikeouts. The Orioles have struck out 11 Astros today. Jonathan Villar's on deck. Marwin Gonzalez due up 3rd in the Astros 9th inning. Game 4 of a 4-game series. First time we've seen Mattis all season against the Astros. The appeal goes to first. There's a check swing call by Mike Muchlinski, and the count is 1-1. Mariners lead the Tigers 1-0. That's in Seattle. They're in the middle of the 4th inning. Max Scherzer going for Detroit against Roenis Elias. Young lefty for Seattle. 2 balls and a strike. You know, Julia was telling us about a hot dog night coming up Thursday night. Where's the $1 hot dogs, Ellis?
Yeah, that would be here. Now, was she talking about she might have also gotten into that whole Arizona dog thing?
Well, she did do that, yes, but I was talking about Thursday night here. And that's the $1 dog night, I believe she told us.
You're a big fan of that one?
Yeah. Well, it plays into everything perfectly this next Thursday because it's an earlier start, 6:10. So everybody's hungry about that time. And then we've got the start of the game at that time and the start of the draft at that time.
Yeah. That will be a busy time.
3-2. So we'll come out and munch on hot dogs, watch the game, and watch the draft.
Man, I think you've got it nailed.
We have a plan for that game, which is unusual for us.
You don't. I was going to say, you don't come and do games without a plan, do you?
Never.
Well, that's very unlike the road games.
Struck him out looking. That's out number 1.
So that's good. We've got 2 styles going on.
Got to have 2 styles at least. Jonathan VR is 0 for 3. Both these clubs will have days off tomorrow. The Orioles moving on up into the Metroplex and then getting set for the Rangers, opening that series Tuesday night. The Astros awaiting the arrival of the Angels Tuesday night. Angels won 3 of 4 here the first week of the season. That's in for a strike for Brian Mattis, who last year appeared 65 times for Baltimore and struck out 50 in 51 innings.
I'm rooting for this guy, Jonathan VR, to get this swing together.
What's it going to take?
I don't know. Sometimes it takes a broken bat bleeder down the third base line, something really ugly a couple of times on a night, and you laugh and you smile, and you come back the next day and suddenly a couple of line drives come off the bat. Just no telling. But if coming to the ballpark and focusing and all the cliches that get used worked, well, you'd never go into a slump. I mean, you just lock into all that sort of thing. It's a very difficult game, and sometimes there's no explanation in the player's mind as to why things get bad, but maybe a hitting coach can see it, but the player can't quite grasp what's being said. But I think for VR, especially left-handed, going the other way a little bit.
Davis with the play, 2 outs. We promised it earlier in the game today. It's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite with a grand slam from Manny Machado.
That's where it got divided today. Orioles were kind of running out to a lead, but that swing makes a big difference, and it's party time in the O's dugout at that point.
Now 1 out remaining for the Astros, trailing by 5. It's Marwin Gonzalez batting. Inside ball 1. The Reds lead the Snakes, Arizona Diamondbacks, 3-2. They're in the bottom of the 4th in the desert. Alfredo Simon on the mound for Cincinnati. Ryan Ludwig hit his 4th home run. Todd Frazier, number 10. He went, and it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count.
The hitters are going to love going to get a chance to go play at the Bob, or what used to be the Bob, Arizona.
They lost their center fielder last night, A.J. Pollock, to I believe it was a broken hand injury. And he'd been playing well for them. Tony La Russa now running things for that Arizona club. 2 balls and a strike.
Has he made a dent in the losing ways?
Well, I think things have picked up a little bit. I don't know what their record is since he took over. They're 23-35 now. Yeah, it is a tough challenge. Inside for a ball, and that hit him. In fact, so hit by the pitch, it got the uniform, the jersey of Marwin Gonzalez, and he will take his place at first base and keep the inning alive for George Springer.
That's one where you hope the dance move is large enough.
Springer has a double and an infield hit when Machado fell on his grounder. He's 2 for 4. Indians beat the Rockies 6-4 with 2 in the bottom of the 9th inning. Michael Bourne hit a 2-run homer in the 9th, his 2nd of the year. There's ball 1. Off Adam Ottavino, who was the loser for the Rockies. Those Rockies, when they get away from mile-high environments, run into a roadblock, don't they?
Numbers change enormously.
Fly ball. Young is over. Jones wants it. And that's it for this ball game. And it's a split of the 4-game series. The Orioles win the season series from the Astros 4-3. Wei-Yin Chen, the winner, goes to 6-2. Scott Feldman, the loser, is 3-3. There's the final. Baltimore 9, Houston 4.